You-
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. How you all doing? My name is Dave Scott, and we are having an Experiencers show tonight. What is going to happen June 25th? How is it going to affect those of us who have had some major weird experiences with the unknown, the supernatural, the extraterrestrial, the ultra-terrestrial, the interterrestrial, and every terrestrial that goes along with it? We are just waiting for Sammy Mo, otherwise known as Samantha Mowat, to join us. We got John Carty, a.k.a. Wreaking Havoc here, and Chris Bledsoe's son, Ryan Bledsoe, is with us. And we're very happy to have, it's a small, intimate panel, but it's going to be chock-filled with information for each and every one of you. So we do appreciate that. While we're waiting here, let's give a rundown of everybody who is in our chat room so far, because you know, we absolutely love having all of you guys here. And let's start off with Race Fan in the gold medal position. Oh, there she is. There's the lovely and talented Samantha Mowat. We have SJ in silver, the gorgeous Emily Bigelow, otherwise known as Alaska's greatest athlete, in bronze. Jan Yannick and Jack Clark, good to see you, 416 Bitcoin. And the awesome and talented Ange from Australia. Hello, gorgeous Jenny Metz. How are you? The lovely Steph Dickey down in Florida. Ufologist, how you doing? Sultry Susie, how are you? Nice to have you back. Cosmic Fleur, looking lovely tonight. And let's see, who else do we got here? Big Bad Abe is here. He will be signing autographs, but you have to be Mennonite in order to get an autograph from Abe tonight. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. Mama Susan, how are you? Good to see you again. Thank you for coming on in. And as we scroll on down, gorgeous Renee and the lovely Simply Coco, who will be signing autographs as well. Line up to the left if you want Simply Cocos, but you must bring a beverage with you. Simply Coco, please update us with our beverage of the night, if you do not mind. Troy Cluche and Luscious Jules, nice to see you. Thank you for coming on in. As we scroll on down here, Jay Breezy, how you doing, man? Good to see you. As I got to scroll back up here now. Little Mikey Rainbows is here. Jurassic Joey, good to see you. The gorgeous Jenny Metz, there she is. Robert Moore, thank you for joining us. And Betty Double Kick Chick, how are you? Thank you for coming on in. And I may have missed a couple people there. Irish Lincoln, thank you for joining us. Rooted in Gorgeous Sacredness, good to see you. And okay, Little Mikey Rainbows, that's exactly where I thought. They're on southeast. I was thinking northwest, but if you had some luck southeast, we'll talk tomorrow. Give me a call. I'm off tomorrow. Come on over and we'll discuss that. Uncle Dale and his power stash are here, everyone, which means if you're in Austin, Texas, and you find Uncle Dale, you can rub his power stash for 10 days of solid good luck. 10 days. He's up the ante from 7 to 10. Good for you, Uncle Dale. Marty Burbick, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. Andrew, where are you trucking tonight, buddy? Thank you for coming on in. The gorgeous Jessica McCreary has returned. Millennium, how are you? Good to see you. Stu Pot and Steve Stockton and Nicola, how you guys doing? Jennifer Rebecca, looking lovely tonight. Ozzy, oi, oi to you, my friend. And awesome Annie Svensson has joined the room. The lovely Christy Bergeron and Miss is here. Welcome to the show. Richard Elmore, Aiden, good to see you. The lovely Minister Elaine Sloan has returned. The gorgeous Raspberries, after a 2-week hiatus, has joined us and given us her presence in the chat room. We love it. This chat room's getting busy. Chad Smith, kicking off the super chat tonight. Thank you so much, Chad. Really do appreciate that. And you know what? It goes a long way. It's a great way to support what we do on Spaced Out Radio. So thank you so much, Chad, for kicking it off tonight. Dirt Road, good to see you. Uncle Duke is here, everyone. Uncle Duke. So if you want a Sasquatch story, you go climb aboard Uncle Duke's lap, and he's going to tell you a good story. Brother Eugene Braxton, how are you, my friend? Bonjour, Julien, comment ça va? Stu effin' Gerson, right there to you, buddy. Thank you for coming on in. George Hernandez, good to see you. UFO Toronto, thanks for coming on. Rosemary Brooks, hello to you. Thank you for joining us. Michael Lestuca, Steve Edmond, how you doing, guys? Sinister Vax, always a pleasure. Stephen Edmond, I already said your name, but I'll say it again. Mark Brady, what is happening? And let's see, Major Lee, thank you for joining us. The lovely and talented Brandon, Manitoba's own Manitoba Becky is here. And let's see, who else am I missing? Scott Brown, nice to see you. As we got about 20 seconds left before we're going to launch this one. Cloudy with a chance of UFOs. Good to have you here, my friend. And the gorgeous Marie. Ryan, how are you? Rich Hilke's here, everyone. The Rich Hilke. John Bollerman and Linda Bennett, nice to see you. And guess what? We're going to start this show right now. Here we go. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. With all the hype surrounding the June 25th deadline for the Pentagon to release the UFO files and what they know, what they are hearing, what they are not going to be telling us in the latest round of potential disclosure, this time we're talking about experiencers tonight. The everyday people who have had encounters with UFOs and ETs. Everything has been around the U.S. military up to date, namely the U.S. Navy and their encounters with the Tic Tac shaped objects. But what about the people? People like you, who have had extraordinary encounters with ethereal beings from elsewhere. To talk about this subject, we have Ryan Bledsoe from the famed Bledsoe family, Samantha Mowat, who's a very good friend of mine and of this show, and John Carty. All are experiencers of the unknown and are searching for answers for their lives to continue as normal as possible. Samantha, John, Ryan, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good. Thanks for having me.
Entertained.
Thank you.
Did you just say entertained? That is awesome. I haven't even started the show and Samantha's already entertained. Excellent. You know, there's a reason why I wanted to bring you three on here, and I could have brought in, dozens of people regarding this show. But you three, I think we all have some sort of connection here with everything. Ryan, I've met your father. I haven't had the chance to meet you, but you and I privately have had some pretty deep conversations. John, I've helped you out, in introducing you to a good friend and mentor of mine, Eugene Braxton, in helping with your experiences. And of course, Samantha, you're a longtime friend, and thanks to you, I got aliens. So I'm blaming you for that one, and I appreciate that. And I love you to death. I really do. And, that's the reason why I wanted to bring all of you three on here, because I do have a personal connection with all of you. Now, this panel is full of experiencers. So for our audience out there who doesn't understand what the experiences are, these are people who have had extraordinary experiences that seem so sci-fi that it shouldn't be true, yet it is. And they live with it on a daily basis. And Ryan, I'm going to start with you here, because for a lot of people who may not know yours and your family's experiences, give us the Coles Notes version of how you got to where you are today.
Okay. 2007. My father is fishing on a river deep in the woods. We're in the South, North Carolina. And basically, it's a very long story. There's a documentary called UFOs over Earth, the Fayetteville incident. But just since we can't watch the documentary here tonight, what happened was basically these big lights in the sky kind of just showed up and rocked my dad's world. And my brother Chris Jr. was with him. They did see entities that night. They were luminous. They glowed. And it changed our lives. We reported it to MUFON, and NASA and some other institutions showed up at our house, and 14 years later, and here we are. So do you want me to go more into detail?
How did you end up getting involved with this?
Okay. So I was 13 when it happened, and he didn't report it until a year later. So I was a freshman in high school, just typical teenager, weird stuff happening at the house. Next thing you know, Discovery Channel's on our property, and MUFON has their STAR team come out, literally their highest trained investigators, including the director, James Carrion, and they did a Discovery Channel documentary, and I was there for this whole process as a child. In my formative years, I watched all this go down. And really, what hooked me, I think, not only was I seeing the phenomenon myself, but I saw the Harvard regressionist, Michael O'Connell, when he put my dad in the hypnotic trance. It rocked my world. It really opened me up to weird kind of parapsychology. And I went and got a psychology degree, got a religion minor. And I probably spent the majority of my life now trying to figure out what happened from the lens of religious, psychological, scientific, academia, basically. It's just been like a knowledge quest. And here I am today. I'm pretty much ready to share what I've learned and experienced.
Right on, and I appreciate that. John Carty, let's talk with you here. I mean, you're somebody who at 15 years old decided to have a holiday away from the family while the family went on vacation, and you had the big boy pants on to stay home alone and do your own thing, and all hell broke loose for you.
Yeah, that was a big mistake on my part. That's for sure. So, my parents decided to go on a cruise, and I was invited to go with them. And I decided to stay home. And, that's the night where the abduction took place. It was no one was at the house besides me. It was like a regular day. It was, I never seen anything before this, as far as I know. And I get into my bedroom, all the lights are on. I get in bed ready to turn the TV on, and like my bed just starts vibrating, and it starts shaking. Then it starts jumping off the ground, and it's like all over the place. And at the time, I thought it was ghosts, so I wasn't really scared. I didn't believe in ghosts, but I assumed that's what it had to be. And when it stopped, I just got this feeling in my stomach, and I just turned my head to the right, and there was like two of them looking like directly in my window. And looking back at it, they didn't do anything to like scare me, but I was absolutely terrified. Mm-hmm. It was we had like a staring contest. It was probably like 4 feet away, like outside the window, like with the face against the window, but it's like we had a staring contest. There was no communication or nothing. It probably lasted maybe 20 seconds, but it felt like it was a minute,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I got another feeling, and I look to the left, and I see two pairs of shadows, like two pair of legs, step from the outside of my bedroom door. And their shadow kind of went under the door, and then I felt like I was surrounded almost. And I put my blanket over my head, and like I remember like I was afraid of them touching me. That was like my number one concern. Like I don't know why, but I didn't want them to touch me. And like a second later, I wake up on the couch the next morning with like a big scar on my back. And from that point on, I've been experiencing paranormal stuff pretty often. And that was the beginning for everything.
Your shorts were also on backwards too, weren't they?
Yeah, and I was like, my legs were hanging off the couch, like I was kind of thrown on. And I remember waking up, I was like, I felt like I had a hangover, and I just wanted to take a shower. And even though I felt the big scab on my back, I didn't put that together with the abduction until like 15 or 17 years later. I didn't start putting pieces to the puzzle together until maybe a year ago. You know, I had everything as its own separate incidents, but I'm starting to find out everything's connected.
Right.
Very true. And let's introduce Samantha Mowat to our audience. For those who weren't listening, about 3 weeks ago, we had Samantha on the show, and she is really my guru when it comes to everything extraterrestrial. And Samantha, it's always a pleasure to have you on this show. And I know our audience absolutely loves you as well. For you, for people who do not know, this is something that literally started from infancy for you. And to this day, I'm not going to say your age, but to this day, it is something that continues almost on a daily basis for you.
Well, a couple times a week on average, Dave, whether it's psychic, astral, or physical. But I understand where these two gentlemen are coming from. It is really intense, and you do go through contact, and it does change everything as far as your perspective is concerned. So honestly, kudos to both of you for stepping forward and talking about this. You should be really proud of yourselves. It's very difficult with the amount of ridicule that can come forward when you do talk about these things to the general public.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Samantha, living a life like you have, I realize it's normal to you, but anybody looking in from the outside, this isn't normal. This discussion is not normal. Sure, UFOs lately have been becoming into the mainstream media, but for most people, they don't understand ET contact. It's still, way out there, and probably people who have this should be in a padded room wearing a straitjacket for a lot of people out there who don't believe or don't understand the phenomena. For you living a lifetime with this is your normal. How has your normalcy differed from people who don't have these experiences?
Well, I'm not a good gauge of normal, as I think is pretty well apparent when you talk to me for any length of time. But like the two gentlemen that I'm having this discussion with, Ryan and I believe Jared,
John.
you both, yes, thank you. But because both of you have gone through contact, what you may not realize is that often this will start even for yourselves in infancy and childhood. Most people don't have one random abduction in their teenagehood, and from that point on have abductions. It actually starts earlier, and as you begin to release those suppressed memories, as your father did with hypnotherapy, you'll better have an understanding of what you've actually gone through. And so, yeah, I'm not very good at the whole normal thing, Dave. I mean, hell, I don't get jokes and sarcasm. I'll see things, and I go off my own little mind tangent all the time. You've seen how out of reality I am in a lot of ways.
Oh, very true. But that's what makes you, though.
Yeah.
It's your unique style. I mean, I'll try and crack some sarcasm around Samantha, and she'll be like, "Are you trying to be funny right now?" I'm like, Yes, I was. And you almost feel shame for it. You do. No, I'm teasing.
But one thing I wanted to mention is when Ryan was talking, he mentioned the fact that he's looking at the psychology aspect and he's pairing it with the religious aspect for his studying. And I think that's wonderful, because that's one thing maybe the extraterrestrials and multidimensionals focus on, is how science and religion are telling the same story, but from different perspectives. And I love that you're covering that. That's amazing. And John, you should be very proud of the fact that when you had your contact experience and you saw the shadow, that you didn't scream or panic. You did a great job. You really did. And I look at this and I think you guys are doing, honestly, an amazing job with this. You have no idea how excited I can feel the energy is around you. So it's great.
Thank you. And it really looks like you're doing an amazing job with the rub there. I'm sorry, I'm a cat person.
Yeah, he likes to sit on my lap.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, but seriously, to go on what is that okay, Dave? Are we allowed to just
just jump right in. That's what this is about, guys.
Cool. My whole thing is, I don't think the truth can really be found unless the opposites are reconciled. Like the mysteries of the East and the West. You've got esotericism, consciousness, Buddhism, whatever. Meet them, it's probably somewhere in the middle. Same with science and spirituality. Truth is somewhere in the middle. So that's kind of my life's purpose, is looking at everything from all angles and saying, well, I grew up reading the Bible, but these beings are not in the Bible. Okay, so the truth may be somewhere outside of the Bible, but there's some truths here, there's some truths there, and that's kind of my perspective. Is the truth? There's not just one truth, but it's really everywhere. You can find it in so many different places: science, spirituality, psychology, etc. But
no,
that's kind of where I'm coming from.
I agree. Go ahead.
I was just to say that's where I'm coming from. Is I think that you have to look at things from many angles before you settle somewhere. So.
Definitely.
What I was actually kind of dying to know is, I think it'd be really good for the audience and for me, because I'm super curious about this. What kind of beings did you guys meet? What did you see? Like, what were they?
Do you mean me? Do you mean us or me, as in the Bledsoe family?
Of you, like, I want to know what.
Would you like to go first, John, or?
Sure. What I saw, I guess I would consider a typical gray.
Yeah.
It had like a blotchy brown tint to its skin. It wasn't like completely gray. And a completely featureless face, 100% featureless. Just a line for a mouth, 2 holes, and big eyes. That was it. That was completely it. It looked perfect, I guess I would say, if I had to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how tall were they?
I would say about 4 feet.
Okay.
I'm able to guess that because they were standing on a roof above a first floor patio, and my bedroom's on the second floor, so I can tell by like kind of how high their heads were to the windows. So I think 4 feet's pretty close. And there was 2 of them, and one was like a little slightly smaller, slightly slender. I kind of think it was like a male and female thing, but
I agree.
I kind of felt that more than anything, and I felt like they were there, like, I don't know if to help me or they were concerned with me. I didn't feel any bad vibes whatsoever, but I was still terrified, and I still kind of am to this day. But I got good vibes off them, but I was still scared, if that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. So, my brother Chris Jr. was 17. You said you were 15, John, when you had your first?
Yes.
Okay. So, terribly young, way too young. People don't really get that. They read this on the internet, and they're like, oh, they're probably lying or they're probably crazy. They don't take a step back and think like, wow, he was 15. He was a child, I was 13 when this stuff happened. I get it. I feel the anxiety, to look people in the eye and say, hey, I experienced this. And then you just know that they think you're lying. They think you're crazy, whatever. So I feel for you. I really feel that. So like I said, when I was 13, this stuff happened. My brother Chris Jr. was 17. He was with my father out in the woods, and what he saw could be described. It was about 4 foot tall, like your encounter, and they glowed. Their body, it was like they were translucent like glass, but they glowed like kind of like moonlight. Mm-hmm. And they had these big round red eyes that would blink like this, like shutters, right? And when they looked at my brother in the eyes, he was, for lack of better words, paralyzed. He couldn't move. He couldn't run, scream, shout, cry, whatever. Meanwhile, my dad was about a 15-minute walk away because they were really in the woods, so they had to, take these little hikes. It's about a 15-minute walk away, and he sees these big balls of fire in the sky. They meet up after a few hours. My dad has missing time. They kind of get back together, and they realize they both saw weird stuff. They rush home. They think it's the end of the world. And then my dad sees the same beings that my brother saw, the little 4 foot tall, luminescent, red-eyed, whatever. Fast forward about 10 years. I'm in my early 20s, at this point. This was still several years ago from today. I'm in my house, chilling, kind of relaxing on the bed, but I'm not going to sleep. The light's on, and I have a friend there sitting next to me, and we're talking. And we see one of these things standing in the corner of the room. It wasn't glowing. It was translucent like glass, but there was no glow. There was no light. And it had big round eyes, arms, legs. It was about 4 foot tall. The top of its head was by the doorknob on my door. So it was kind of weird how all those years later, this thing popped back in for another visit in my bedroom. And it was like magic. It never even opened the door. It never knocked. It just, boom, it just appeared in our vision and then blinked out. So to me, it was more like magic than technology. But
I totally get where you're coming from with the perspective of magic, but that's the multidimensional beings. They're not
Right.
necessarily extraterrestrial. But when you see the eyes that are glowing, it's because they're actually typically sending you telepathic information, and it's actually putting you into a catatonic state, meaning altering the brainwave pattern that's going on within your brain and make it so you go into an altered state of being. And it's not necessarily to have negative control over you. Quite often, it's just so that they can approach you without you freaking out. And in Dave's case, possibly pummeling them. So
yeah,
with love.
Never really got to that. I was kind of paralyzed when you decided to take me into a forest and show me a 10 to 12 foot extraterrestrial in the middle of the day. I mean, that was my introduction to Samantha. For those who don't know, I met her 25 minutes before her and I walked into a forest, and she decided to say, "Hey, I think they're here." I'm paraphrasing here. "I think they're here. Do you want to go check it on out?" Sure. What the hell? Just saw a UFO land on this property 5 days previous, and we walk into the forest and about 100 yards in, and she goes, "Dave, I don't want you to be afraid. I want you to look that way." And she points north. I turn and look, and 200 feet away from us, there's a very lightly tan-colored 10 to 12 foot extraterrestrial standing there in the forest. And the funny part about it is, I thought I could handle that. Looking back on it now that it's, 7 years ago, I was scared crapless. I really was scared crapless because I wasn't, and I always want to preface this, I wasn't scared seeing the being. What scared me was that everything up to that point that I had been taught was a lie.
yeah,
You go through, my parents, my teachers, my grandparents, my coaches, everybody whom you respect in life will tell you the do's and don'ts of life and how to be a good person, how to be not to be a bad person, treat people with respect, dignity, everything like that. But nobody tells you how to react when you are 40 years old and looking into the face of an extraterrestrial. Nobody forewarns you about that.
yeah. I feel that. I grew up with trust issues, if I'm gonna be honest, because when I was 13, again, that's when it started. I saw lights. I didn't see an entity until I was, in my 20s, but I saw thousands of lights and orbs and what have you, shadows in the house. Even touched a few times in some poltergeist type activity. That started when I was 13, and I still grew up with people telling me that stuff wasn't real. So I really grew up an out-of-the-box thinker. From the jump, I already knew people were trying to control the way I thought, or they were lying to me, or, whatever. And here I am today, pretty much if somebody from some, I guess I could say, place of authority tries to tell me what's what, I don't believe them. It's just like ingrained in my brain because of my formative years, what happened to me. Maybe it's for the good. I don't know. But, I totally get what you said, Dave, when you said that, nobody prepares you for that kind of like shattering your reality. Everything you learned was wrong. I was pretty much raised in that mindset.
I was kind of the opposite, actually. I remember in elementary school believing in aliens, thinking they were a god or something, Yeah. It's weird because it was just one thought in one day of elementary school, but I always remembered it. So I was obviously shocked seeing them, but I already believed in them and kind of had an idea what they looked like. I was more shocked that they were in a tight-knit suburban neighborhood where the houses are like 20 feet apart, and you can look, and they were on my roof, and you can just look down at like 30 houses. Like, that's what caught me off guard, because I believed they only come around like highways in the middle of nowhere or farms.
Right.
For some reason, that was one of the first things I thought, is like, how are they in the suburbs?
John, I'm going to get you to hold right there. Samantha, Ryan, please just sit back, relax. We're going to go to a break here at the bottom of the hour. Experiencers Speak, June 25th. Samantha Mowat, Ryan Bledsoe, John Carty. We're going to continue on. We're going to find out what they think about what's coming up next with the Pentagon and the U.S. government. All right, we're clear.
Cool.
That's a solid first half hour.
Awesome.
Solid first half hour.
I'm sorry I called you Jared. I'm not
no
wearing my
problem at all.
glasses, so trying to read them like crap.
Don't gotta worry about that. Time flies on this show, I swear.
It does. It really does. Wow.
It's
It's fun.
entertaining. I think so.
I think so. I think we got a good thing going here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
We're still live on YouTube.
Yep.
Hi YouTube.
Yep, we're live. We're live.
Always
That's
entertaining. So, have you guys started writing down your experiences, looking at all the weird paranormal stuff you've had happen, just to try to get like an accumulation? I think that would really help you to both unlock a lot of your memories.
I have for sure.
Good.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh no, go ahead. You got it, man.
Well, I would say like the past 9 months is when I started taking pictures and stuff. So I have a good catalog of scoop marks and punctures and shadow figure videos. I have a lot of stuff. It's pretty cool. I have some crazy stuff documented. So I've been definitely keeping track. And the past 9 months has been out of control completely. It keeps ramping up. I don't know about you guys, but I always have the feeling something's going to happen soon. Not disclosure, something completely different. I can't just put my finger on what it is.
Yeah.
You can feel the energy building. It's like, where is it going? What is this?
I'm getting just like pushed forward and it keeps going faster and faster. I'm just like this, just going for the ride, It's fun, but also a little scary at the same time, but I try to make the best out of it.
I've been cut off.
You've been cut off? What do you mean?
I haven't had a good ET or UFO. I haven't seen a UFO in a couple of years.
Let's go camping, Dave. I already told you this.
I know. Right now, I'm more worried about forest fires with this 40-degree heat coming.
Maybe post 40-degree heat, we'll go camping then.
Yeah.
See some Bigfoot, because we're in Bigfoot country, so come on.
Oh, which reminds me, Little Mikey Rainbows in my chat room tonight.
Yeah, you said he has good Bigfoot stories earlier, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, I think he found something today.
Ooh.
I think he found something today, which means road trip. Road trip. Yes.
Nice.
Samantha, where are you from?
Oh, Canada, but I've grown up in British Columbia and all over Canada, so kind of all over the place.
Cool.
Yeah, it's
That's awesome.
entertaining.
Yeah, I was sitting here like, how do y'all meet up so much? Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny because as soon as I got into the chat room, I was like, you guys, I'm like, let's see those ET features. I noticed that if you look at the way both your eyes are shaped, it looks like you guys have really similar shaped eyes. So I wonder if you have very similar ET DNA combinations unlocking in you. So I'm just geeking out. Do you ever notice that with other contactees, how we tend to have like very similar either eye shapes or similar like high cheekbones, or we tend to have, some of us have like really intense ridges over the eyes, which it looks like, Ryan, you have more of the ridging going on too. And I can't tell as much when it comes to you, John, but just because of the lighting. But what do you think?
Mm-hmm.
You want me to be honest with you? I grew up with the United States government coming to my property. I didn't really meet other contactees, if I'm being honest.
Your adulthood.
Yeah.
I never noticed. I'll keep a lookout for it, though. That's for sure.
Oh, you guys should. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have been told I always have arching eyebrows. I just thought I never really thought much of it. That's interesting.
What I want you to do is just while you're looking at your YouTube videos and everything else that you're researching, going to UFO conferences, whatever, start looking at the facial features of people, because you'll notice they tend to have the same distinct patterns going on within their Chinese face reading as like other people who have interest in ETs and stuff like that. There seems to be certain markers in place. It's really, I'm just a geek when it comes to stuff like that. But yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Cool.
Okay. It is.
Sorry, that was my sister.
Oh.
Yeah, she missed wishing my little guy a happy birthday today.
Tell him I say happy birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Little SOR turned the big 8 today, and the one thing that he wanted for his birthday was Battleship. You know what? I bought him Battleship for his birthday. Did you know the new Battleship packages and the new Monopoly packages are the same price, but the boards have been shrunken? So in Battleship now, when you buy Battleship, you only get 4 ships to sink instead of 5. And in Monopoly, my daughter got him Transformers Monopoly. The game board is shrunk by 1 to 2 squares each side. And there's no more runs of 3. You know how you could buy 3 properties? You can only buy 2 properties of each now.
Well, they're just trying to make it simple for people.
Hasbro's screwing us, man. Screwing us. Here we go, guys. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've had portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Experiencers Speak, June 25th. We have Samantha Mowat, Ryan Bledsoe, John Carty, and we are talking about the experiencer side of ufology and discovery. And personally, John, I feel it's going to be a position of nothing. We're not going to get anything, and they sure as hell are not going to release anything to do with experiences or ET contact. How are you feeling about June 25th?
I agree 100%. That's how I always felt. I've felt that way for a while, you know. Why would they willingly give up information like that? You know, I think they only tell us what they have to tell us in regards with everything, you know. And, you know, they've been lying for so long. It would just make them look so bad. They have no reason to tell us. They'll only tell us if they have to tell us or they're forced to tell us. That'll be the only way that happens, in my opinion. So I wasn't expecting nothing, you know. I'm actually disappointed in the quality of footage that's been released during this time. I feel like it's kind of a slap in the face personally. These fuzzy, grainy videos, we really can't tell what it is, you know. I think the whole thing was a mess. I wasn't expecting anything from the beginning. I was just, you know, I feel disappointed, you know. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it sucks.
It really does. And Samantha, I want to get to you here. For you, being a lifelong experiencer in ET contact and seeing all sorts of UFOs over the years, how do you feel about this disclosure movement that's coming forward or potentially coming forward in just a few days?
I'm inclined to agree with John. He makes a couple of very good points. The fact that they haven't released videos in high definition is actually pretty appalling. To me, that means that they're trying their best to have as much control over the situation as humanly possible. I agree with John's comment of they're not going to give us information unless they absolutely have to, and they have their hands tied behind their back. Dave, it's not advantageous for them to mention the fact that we have hundreds of different species that have been on and off this planet over the last several thousand years. There is no advantage in that because then it ruins our religions, it ruins our understanding of everything as far as technology and power is concerned. I don't expect to see any Greys showing up within the next 6 months on the White House lawn shaking the president's hand. I'm sorry, I don't see that happening in the immediate future. As much as they're trying to make it look like that's our next step, I don't see that happening like they're trying to claim it. Well, oh,
we lost John. He'll be back. He'll be back. He'll pop back on. There he comes. So for you, Ryan, in hearing what Samantha had just stated regarding, you know, we're not going to see anything. You know, they're not interested in coming forward with aliens and ET contact. How do you feel about that? How does your family feel about that?
Well, I'm holding my breath, man. I think that this is going to go two ways. Maybe a few more scenarios here, but I like to think about it from all sides. First scenario, they come out and they say there's this threat. It's like jamming our radars. It's committing these acts of war. We need to ramp up defense budget, whatever. That's possible. get everybody scared. I'm not saying I know that for a fact. It's just possible. Second scenario, if you follow what Tom DeLonge and Lou Elizondo have been saying, and remember, we know these people. They're very smart people. They're not just entertainers. They are, in my opinion, planting the seeds that there is an interdimensional phenomenon. Now, if this scenario plays out, we're going to be in a very different world in the next few weeks, months, whatever, where they take a step back and they say, there is a phenomenon. We're not sure if it's good. We're not sure if it's bad. Deal with the data, and then people will freak out and they'll have to come to this, conclusion on their own. I personally think fate loves irony, and there is a possibility that they're going to maybe say something pretty shocking. I kind of hope they don't. I don't, I don't know. This isn't like I know for a fact, but I'm definitely holding my breath. I'm very much anticipating what they're going to say in the next 2 days. I don't know. Could be something, could be nothing. I do want to say, because it weighs on my conscience, that if the United States government comes out and starts saying that it's all negative, it's all a threat, we got to, ramp up our defense, whatever. Personally, you're being abused if they come out and say that. Don't let yourself be abused. Let's just hope they don't say that. I'll leave it there.
But here's the problem, guys. The government has full control of this narrative. They have eliminated the experiencers because they haven't talked aliens. They've talked UFOs or UAP, but they haven't talked aliens. Next, if you look back from what I'm hearing, from what Lou Elizondo and others have told me, we're not going to expect this report to have anything prior to the 2004 USS Nimitz incident, which means no Phoenix Lights, no Shag Harbor, no Roswell, no Kecksburg, no Marfa Lights, nothing, which I think is a slap in the face to ufology. They're focusing straight on, it's almost like in 2004, all of a sudden, oh, look, there's Tic Tacs in the air. Look what we found. And trying to make us play stupid. And then number three, the way the media, and this is something that I have argued with a lot of big name people in ufology. The media has never wanted this story. And number two, the way they are asking questions, you could tell that they don't know what to ask. They don't know where to formulate their questions, how to formulate them, what should they ask. And I know these questions, whether it's to Lou Elizondo, Chris Mellon, or any of these people, are not pre-screened. They are going at it. But the media is showing their infancy in regards to this topic. But like my good friend Bruce Claggett said, when, I don't know if any of you caught it, but just a couple of nights ago, I did a full media panel on this subject with professional journalists from fields of radio and blogging and everything. And the one thing my buddy Bruce Claggett said out of Vancouver is he said that the reason why we're seeing those questions the way they are is because the media is unprepared, but there is no such thing as follow-up journalism, investigative journalism anymore. There's very few that are doing that because there's not enough time. So you'll have a reporter in the newsroom who will literally be working on one UFO story from, say, 9 in the morning until 11, but 11 to 1, they got to cover a press conference about, homeless shelters or drug addiction. And then from, 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock, they have to cover another subject. So they have no time to actually get into the real goods in the heart of the subject. And I think when you combine all of that, it is killing this topic, Samantha.
I agree. I'm agreeing with you. It's just, Dave, it's frustrating when we look at this aspect because we're not going to get the information we're wanting. And I'm agreeing with Ryan with the fact that if they do release information and it does go into fear-based type capacity, it is going to unfortunately rally a lot of the masses to go in a negative spin and hand over all their rights and all their control, which is what I'm afraid of happening as well. So I can fully agree with Ryan's concern with this.
It would be abuse.
It would be horrific abuse. And they are avoiding the contactees very deliberately at this time. You can bet any journalist worth their salt knows bloody well that there's contactees out there, because they would be researching into this, but they're not allowed to talk to us and release that information, unfortunately, because there are, unfortunately, some crazies in our industry, people that are mentally imbalanced. And there does seem to be some difficulty for these people to be able to discern who is legitimate and who isn't. So,
John, what's your thoughts?
I agree with that. I also think they don't take it as serious as they, make us think they do. You can see sometimes the way they say, UFO, or, they say it in a weird way, like it's kind of like slightly a joke still, like that. I kind of see it that way. And, if they really thought these were really alien spaceships, you think they would put a little more effort. It's a pretty big deal, I would think, right? So I don't think they're taking it as seriously as they're leading on. Is the way I see it.
I can agree with that.
I would agree with that too, to a point, in the fact that the media, though, and I know this from working in a newsroom, we never wanted this story. Every time, and I've said this a few times on the air over the years, every time I was sitting in the newsroom when somebody called about a UFO, we'd be, okay, what kind of drugs are you on? How much have you had to drink? I called into my old newsroom to report a UFO, and my buddy John, who I've known and worked with at this point for like 5 years, answers the phone. He's like, hey, Dave, how much have you had to drink tonight? I'm like, dude, nothing. That's why I'm calling you, to see if anybody has reported anything, And he was like, yeah, have a good party, Dave. Click. And I'm one of them. I'm one of the dudes. And this is how I was treated, right? But that's the way it kind of pans out in the newsrooms. And that's what's unfortunate about it, But, I mean, kudos to the mainstream media. At least they're talking about the subject. But I think the way they're covering it, Ryan, has totally played into the narrative that this is a United States Navy problem. It is a security problem. It's the Russians. It's the Chinese. And I think the majority of us, Ryan, are sitting here saying, boy, are you really missing the mark here?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I have met some pretty crazy people in this field. I've said it on your show. And I can tell you, although the media, as far as journalists, reporters, whatever, they may not take it seriously, but I can tell you with a fact, since I was a teen, I've met these people. I've met NASA. I know that in the highest levels of military and intelligence secrecy, they do take it very serious. They are very, very engaged with the discussion. Make of that what you will. That could be the accounts on Twitter that you think are your buddy, but they have a little dog profile picture. Well, slow down. Don't trust so many people on the internet. There's a reason I'm not super responsive. I've met the spies, right? They're very engaged with the narrative and the subject. They're very much steering it. Who's they? Just think about it. And I don't know. I'm really. I don't know. It's hard to put my thoughts into words because I have met these people. I have made some friendships that are public that happen to be spies, but then some of my opinions aren't exactly. You see where I'm coming from, Dave?
I know exactly where you're coming from. I'm just sitting here praying that you answer this question instead of dodging it.
Okay, ask it again. I'm sorry.
Well, okay.
Ask it one more time.
I think you're doing great. Don't get me wrong. Samantha's like, uh-oh. Don't do it, Dave. Don't do it,
Sometimes
Ryan.
I dodge things by habit. It's just the way I was raised, man. Let's break down that barrier. Ask it again.
Okay. Well, let's talk about this, because I think a different angle on this is the social media aspect of everything. Never mind the mainstream media, but I mean, you brought up a good point. I was going to bring this up later on, but I've been told, and you have confirmed it here, but I've been told by some pretty high up people that are very much promoting UFO Twitter right now, saying that a lot of these profiles that are interacting with UFO Twitter are actually spies wondering what is going on in the UFO world, because there is so much news going out on UFO Twitter regarding this subject, and that the Pentagon is filled with Twitter handles from these spies checking on in. Now, for a lot of people, that may sound a little paranoid, but they're wanting to know what the experiencers are going through. They're wanting to know where these reports are coming from, and potentially they want to know who's leaking them.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you this. I put out a photo of a document that was sent to me by a spy. Technically, I could be considered a leaker. I got in trouble for that one. It's a pretty funny story. It's a document written by a DARPA scientist involved with a multimedia group who is pushing for. Do you get who I'm talking about? Hal Puthoff?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So Tom was talking about this document that Hal Puthoff wrote. I was sent it by the same guy that sent it to Tom, so I thought, okay, we're all buddies. They tell us we're all these great friends. If Tom's talking about it, I can talk about it. I got in trouble for talking about it. Make of that what you will.
But that's the way it goes. Like, how do you know what you can and cannot talk about? Samantha, I know for you have had times where you've had strange happenings come out when you've talked publicly about things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Dave, I'm also in my lab. That's completely different again. I get in shit when I do things too much at one time. That's why I do drop.
I'm sorry.
My lab.
What is that?
Military.
I'm genuinely curious. I'm not.
Okay. My lab is a military abductee, someone who is legitimate alien contactee that also gets abducted by the military and interrogated about their extraterrestrial multidimensional experiences, ranging from hybridization to school on craft to meeting various types of beings. Pretty common. Well, not necessarily common, but fairly normal in the UFO.
I wouldn't say that's common.
Well, depends on your friend group, I guess.
Yeah. Wow.
Most of my friends are contactees and other psychics. So in my world, that is more normal. I don't make a lot of friends with people in the normal world because I don't understand them and they don't understand me. So.
Yeah.
John, as someone who is kind of new to all of this and coming out to the public, I know right at the beginning when you decided that it was time to start talking about your events, you felt kind of awkward about everything and you weren't as comfortable. But over the last couple of months, you've really opened up, and I think you're getting a lot stronger on talking about what's happening with you and the evidence that you are collecting from your own home. As you look upon what Ryan and Samantha are saying, other experiencers as well, how has your opinion changed of what is going on for the experience leading into what the Pentagon is going to say?
A lot of this stuff I've been experiencing lately is stuff I never believed in. So in the beginning, I wanted to share my story because I wanted to put some truth out there because I thought a lot of this stuff was fake. Now I'm experiencing the things that I thought were fake. So I'm doing like a whole 360. So my whole perspective is completely opposite now. You know, now I feel bad. Like all the people I used to watch back in the day, I used to dismiss their stories because I thought they were crazy. I'm experiencing the crazy that I thought was crazy. So it's like, that's been mind blowing to me. That's the biggest change, you know, personally. And the people, I guess, support me. That's been awesome. That's like my main drive. You know, all it took was a couple of nice comments to give me the courage to keep doing it. And now I'm an open book, which is, I feel so much better. I feel like a whole different person, much lighter, better feeling.
John, if I may interject for a moment, one thing I want to make note of, or just make reference to, is the fact that everyone understands any situation from their level of awareness and perspective at that time. No one's coming up from a better or worse perspective. But if you have never had any contact with extraterrestrial multidimensional beings, of course you're going to question it. Same thing being said with everyone who's never seen a ghost or never seen Bigfoot or never seen anything else. Of course they're not going to understand it. But as you've gone through this evolution of consciousness, of course your perspective on this matter and things that you thought were crazy and okay, that person's obviously full of potato chips or whatever the heck you want to say on the air, and how that changes with time for you. Of course, that same thing's happening to a lot of people. So the reason you're feeling this strong compulsion within yourself to start sharing your experiences is people that are just behind you on the awakening curve are finding stories like yours, like mine, like everyone else's, and they're starting to be like, hey, I've had similar things happen. Okay, maybe that wasn't a crazy dream. Maybe my Uncle John wasn't crazy because these other people are having it too. Maybe there's more evidence behind that. So I'm glad you guys are sharing.
Yeah, thanks.
you.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, after I do a show like this, and like one person will contact me and say, like, you helped me put a piece to my story together by what you said. Like, to me, that's the most awesome thing in the world. It makes everything worth it for sure.
Yeah, it does.
Do you think experiencers are getting ripped off in this latest round of disclosure, Ryan?
Did you say experiences or experiencers?
Experiencers.
Like, could you elaborate so I could?
Well, just in the fact that this topic right now is all about the military. It's not about sightings. It's not about Travis Walton. It's not about Chris Bledsoe. It's not about Betty and Barney Hill or Calvin Parker or Samantha Mowat or anybody in regards to these topics. It's strictly about the military. Are the experiencers getting ripped off?
Well, it's neurolinguistic programming. That's kind of like the thing is the narrative at the moment is to get people focused on this at a military perspective. It's all militarized. It's all they're jamming radars. I saw that recently. It made me want to puke. Who cares? It's an interdimensional phenomenon. There's thousands of people out there saying it. I mean, it healed my father of Crohn's. There's reports that we have sent to the Pentagon, the Bledsoe family. We'll start there. For 14 years, people have come to my property. They've been healed of cancers. They've been healed of whatever, tumors, strokes. They have reports of this. They know that it's not all evil, but they're talking about it jamming radars, right? So to me, it's neurolinguistic programming. Speak a specific pattern to get people to believe a certain thing. So, yeah, I do think experiencers are getting ripped off, but it's deeper than that.
Mm-hmm.
Samantha, what's your opinion?
I fully agree with Ryan when he's saying make it the narrative, repeat it often enough, people will believe it because that's what they've heard over and over. It's the same principle the Nazis used in World War II with make a lie, keep it simple, repeat it over and over, the people will believe it.
Repeat it. Make them laugh, too. You make them laugh. Like, a lot of these talk shows, they make you laugh, and then people believe what they're saying is true. They're very smart, these people, the media companies and whatnot. It's NLP, neuro-linguistic programming.
Mm-hmm. But Ryan, one thing I'm actually kind of grateful about with the fact that it is the military having the focus on UFOs at this time rather than going to contactee families like your own and like myself and my family is if they were to switch that around and make it so people realize that these ETs are on a very serious level going to individual families and healing properties and making them so they have these strong vibrational frequencies that heal people, or abducting certain people and their bloodlines from birth until death and their children, so on and so forth, that could in a sense put our families in danger by putting the focus on us rather than the focus on the government aspect. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword to see it from that perspective, but I am kind of grateful it is more focused on being slightly separated from the people at this time, at least until the general public has a more deeper understanding of what's happening, even if it is a slight misconstrued perspective. Go ahead.
I hear what you're saying. I will say that in the 14 years that my family story has been worldwide, on TV, whatever, we get messages from every continent, except for Antarctica. The only people that have shown up on our property and did anything unruly or made any death threats, which we have had, were people who showed up on behalf of an associate or an associate of an associate who held intelligence positions. Never once in 14 years has an ordinary, Joe Plumber, normal person shown up on our property and made us uncomfortable. I think a lot of that is TV. I think a lot of that is Hollywood. We always see these serial killers and these people breaking in. It's always these movies. I don't think people really do that as much as we see on TV. And I think truly the focus should be experiencers. No one has made us uncomfortable except for people who come and say, so-and-so in the CIA sent me.
Oh, wait.
All right.
Sorry.
That's all right. We're right at the edge of the break here on Spaced Out Radio. Hour number 1 coming to an end. Hour number 2 continues on Spaced Out Radio right after this. John Carty, Samantha Mowat, Ryan Bledsoe. How are experiencers reacting to June 25th? Are we being ripped off? Do we need to start talking aliens? let me know, and we'll take your questions as well for the group. If you're in one of our chat rooms or on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're clear. I'm just going to quickly run my dogs out. I'll be right back. You guys chat away with the YouTube audience.
Of course.
So, Samantha, I kind of caught little bits and pieces, but you said you're a lifelong experiencer?
Yes, my family has been having contact with extraterrestrials and multidimensionals for multiple generations, ranging from my great-grandparents, my grandparents, my parents, my siblings, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, and now my children.
Oh my God. How do you...
Normal?
Yeah. That's not normal.
It kind of is. It's actually happening to more families than we've realized. You'll even find, no matter where you are on the planet, there are families like mine. They're not actually that uncommon. You'll find that with a lot of these families, we tend to get bred with other contactees, so we don't necessarily choose our relationships. They kind of get orchestrated by the extraterrestrials and multidimensionals. And so we tend to find other contactees that we have an instant connection with, and then we end up dating them, marrying them, breeding with them, so on and so forth.
Breeding.
Wow.
And so one thing you both have to take into consideration, because you both are aware of having contact now, and you're starting to see beings showing up in your bedroom, Ryan, where you're seeing them in the partially cloaked form, where you see them partially visible, partially non, in between dimensional states. And you, John, where you're having these tan grays that are coming forward and floating outside the bedroom in the suburbs. You both should be aware of the fact that you're both more likely to date and possibly have future relationships with other contactees, in which case your children will be contactees as well.
Wow.
ET contact changes your blood. I'm not kidding. It does make you more psychic. You might have noticed a huge psychic shift in your family around the time you guys started to have that really big experience when you're 13, Ryan, and your family would become more lucid dreaming, precognitive moments, deja vu happening, knowing the phone's going to ring, stuff like that starts to increase as you start to have contact, and as it starts to get more prevalent. The more exposure you have to extraterrestrials and multidimensionals, the more psychic you become. And the same thing being said with you, John, you're going to notice yours shifting as well and becoming more psychic, not only with the precognitive stuff, but also with the clairvoyance, the clairaudience, where you see stuff, hear stuff, things like that as well.
That's been happening a lot lately. Yeah,
I know.
and for me, my family has no idea about this yet.
Well,
Yeah, I got to take care of that soon. I waited a little too long. I have too much to say.
well,
Yeah, for sure.
sit them down for either a cup of coffee or a glass of wine. It might be the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, I'm waiting for this whole, stuff to blow over. My parents have been stressed about what's happened the past couple years as far as people getting sick, so I don't want to put any more stress on them, so I'm just waiting for the right time at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just be prepared that, when you tell people that you saw weird things, I don't care who they are, I don't care how close you are, their immediate reaction is not to believe you.
Oh, I know that for
You should
sure.
be prepared.
I told my friends right after my abduction in '95, and I was kind of shocked they didn't believe me. I was like, these are my friends, I can tell them anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that was not the case, and I just shut down after that, So I know the feeling.
I know what you mean. I did it in elementary school, middle school, and high school, trying to talk to my friends, and none of them understood what I was talking about, so I just stopped talking to them about it.
Yeah, a lot of anal probe jokes.
I missed those ones. I never got those.
Ironically, I was the one making those jokes growing up. No one made them about us. I like that joke. It's funny.
It is, yeah, we know.
Yeah, I think on my first podcast episode, I make a comment like that. Like, my dad wasn't probed or anything like that. I'm coming out with a podcast in the next week. It's not out yet, but thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's kind of funny that you make anal probe jokes. In all my abduction history, I've never been anal probed.
Well, I mean, you got to sometimes lighten the mood, and it can be pretty hard to tell people, like, yeah, my dad, this happened to him and he saw an entity and we're on TV. It can be hard, so sometimes you got to lighten it up and put a smile on people's face. And so I make a lot of jokes about it.
Well, I'm glad you do that, because that's actually kind of a nice, refreshing way to help empower yourself in the situation. That's good.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. I don't know. Mine's kind of the opposite with my family. I can talk to them about my contact and vent about it. So it's a little different.
Yeah.
All right, I want to say a big thank you to Cable Guy Matt, Science Bob, and Chad for the super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. If you're new here, we do take commercial radio breaks because we are a live radio show as well. That's why we do take the breaks. So if you're like, what the hell is this all about? That's the reason why. And you get to hear the kind of behind the scenes of everything that is going on. And I appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button, ring that bell if you don't mind. We'd greatly appreciate it if because we are here 7 days a week, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern time, and we always got high quality live programming for you. So I hope you enjoy what you are hearing tonight. Hi, Akinator. Welcome back to the show. Let's see who else is new in here. That's joined us, scrolling on down that I haven't said hello to. Jeremy Jones, thank you so much for that super chat. Really do appreciate that, man. Thank you. Really appreciate your support of SOR. And Adam Milanovic, how are you? Thank you for coming on into the chat room. Good to see you. And we will take your questions, put them in capital letters for this group as well, and we'll go from there. We're going to get going live here in about 10 seconds, so we're having a great night tonight. And I'm so glad that all of you are here right now. We got 184 people watching live, including 181 on YouTube.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. We want to welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our, let's get to the clam here. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Oh my God. Syncatagoramatic? Syncatagoramatic is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, which is almost done, our new website, thank you, Ben from UFO Garage, is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's an experiencers panel tonight as we look towards June 25th and the Pentagon's potential release of the UFO files. What are we going to get? What is going to happen? Why aren't experiencers included in on this? Joining us tonight, Ryan Bledsoe, John Carty, otherwise known as Wreaking Havoc, and Samantha Mowat. And what a panel we have. What a panel we have. Welcome back, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to bring in some audience questions here and mix it on up a little bit. Tina is asking right off the bat, have any of you seen the 3-part documentary video series by Chad Kalick? Part 1, Sir No Face. Part 2, Two-Face the Gray. And Part 3, The Phantom Rider. What do you think about the threats they all received?
Never heard of it.
I've never seen it.
Sorry.
Okay, but let's focus on the threats, because right before the break, we're kind of getting into the threat stuff. Now, John, you just coming out, have you had anybody kind of come up to you and say, I don't really want you talking about this?
Not yet. No, hasn't happened.
Do you feel fortunate for that?
I don't think about it too much. I kind of did in the very beginning. Like, I was like, oh, crap, should I be talking about this? But that went away pretty quick, if that happens, it happens. But that's not something I ponder. I don't want to make myself paranoid. Got enough stuff to worry about.
Ryan, you deal very closely with members of the United States Intelligence Service and everything like that with your family. Have people ever approached you and say, look, Ryan, we don't want you talking about this publicly. We'll tell you, you can have a conversation with us, but we don't want you talking about certain things.
Some folks have approached my father and said, if you don't tell it a certain way, we could kill you, we could arrest you, whatever. And I don't want to spread negativity. I don't want to, you know, I'm not disparaging the United States government, but there are people associated with people in the United States government who run around wreaking havoc on experiencers and threatening them and scaring them and trying to make them paranoid, and it's abuse. Yeah, so I just have to clarify, like, I don't, because I know there's a lot of people listening, I do not hate the United States government, but there's some things they do, or let me back up. There's some things that people do who are affiliated with people affiliated with the United States government that are very malicious. And since I was a teen, since I was 14, 15, 16, I can't speak for these two here with us tonight, but I was told since I was a teen by people who had badges and clearances who worked for Uncle Sam, they told me I would be tapped, I would be spied on, I would be watched, I would be monitored. They told me that for the rest of my life. So you tell me, Dave, why would they tell a child that?
Probably for intimidation.
Probably, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but I'll leave it there.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. That's stressful.
And how about for you, Samantha? Because I know you have been part of the My Lab type program, MK Ultra. You've kind of run the gamut through everything.
Yeah. And Dave, honestly, I go through periods where my PTSD gets really bad and I fall off the face of the map. And chances are, if you have emailed me sometime this year looking for a reading, I haven't gotten back to you yet because I've been dealing with my contact and how stressful it's been. To summarize it, yes, I have had threats, but mostly from my lab personnel in relation to discussing things about the certain groups of reptilians wanting to do harvesting of humanity. That's the only thing I've gotten in trouble for speaking about. Beyond that, I haven't gotten in trouble for speaking about anything.
And you know what? It's weird because a lot of times I have been asked personally, you know, Dave, you do this radio show. Have you ever been approached by men in black or people to, you know, say, hey, you can't be talking about those topics? And I want to be open up front about it. I've never had anything like that happen. Mm-hmm. Anything. The only weird thing that I've ever had happen, and this was going back probably 2.5, maybe 3 years ago now, I was having a conversation about UFOs and ETs, and we were talking about To the Stars and getting into some real heavy topics with a buddy of mine, Everett Themer. And Everett and I all of a sudden started getting hung up on. Like our lines would just go dead. Mm-hmm. And we started, after about the third or fourth time, we finally said, okay, this is something weird. This is more than just a bad signal. And I finally said on the phone line, hey, if you're listening in and you're actually the one hanging up on us, can you hang us up right now? And all of a sudden, click, you hear this click, and I have to call Everett back for a fifth time, and him and I were like, holy cow, like that just happened? Like, and he was like, yeah, he goes, this is kind of weird. And I think it happened one or two more times after that, and then they just kind of left us alone. But it was the weirdest thing. Never had that happen before. But that's the strangest thing. I've never had, you know, black ops vehicles or blacked out vans or cars, you know, sitting in front of my driveway. I've never been followed. I've never had anything along those lines with the topics. Remote viewed? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We've been remote viewed for sure. And Samantha and I have talked about that over time as well as some other people that I've dealt with. But never, ever have I been threatened. Let's go to Scott here. Scott is asking, have any of you or any of you aware of the well-documented Colaris case in the 1970s?
Mm-mm.
No.
Never heard of it.
Me either.
No.
Me either. I thought I would ask it anyways. You know? But as we move forward here, and the real focus is on the 25th and the fact that experiencers are being let out. Samantha, what's your idea of this being strictly focused on the U.S. Navy right now? Not even any of the other branches of the military or any of the allies for that case?
Well, Dave, I don't have a terribly strong opinion about it. The fact they're focusing on the Navy rather than the other branch of the military might be because they're trying to not scare the public. By focusing only on one branch, it has a degree of separation. If everybody's involved, then we should all be panicking, is how the general public would perceive such a matter. But if it's only one branch in the Navy, then a lot of people will have a form of disassociation or separation to it, at least in my point of awareness. If it's the Air Force, then people are going to be like, okay, we're going to be terrified of the skies. If we're looking at the Army, okay, well, they're trying to weaponize and protect us. So I do believe that with that degree of separation, they're choosing the one that they think is the best suited foot forward.
How about for you, John?
Do you mind repeating the question?
Just in regards to the entire focus being on the United States Navy. We're not talking about any other of the branches. We're not talking humanity. We're not talking, people like us having these instances and these occurrences.
Mm-hmm. I think it's all about they're testing out UFOs. Basically, is what I think it boils down to. I think the footage is test flights that are being tracked. Mm-hmm. I think it has nothing to do with ETs whatsoever. Because if it did, why would it be secluded just to the Navy? And honestly, why would it be just the United States? Mm-hmm. That's what I find a little fishy. I think that if real disclosure would happen, wouldn't it be like a worldwide event? I think it's kind of weird one country kind of leading the way, in my opinion. Now, I don't follow any type of ufology news whatsoever. You guys know way more than I do. I just kind of see what I see and kind of leave it at that. So that's the way I perceive everything.
Ryan, I want to kind of rephrase the question for you, because I think, with what your family has gone through, it's a little bit different than what a lot of even UFO experiencers or ET experiencers have gone through. Knowing the fact that you guys are pretty much studied by the U.S. government, looking for everything from the lady to, UFO sightings and ET contact, do you ever feel like your family is almost like a hidden guinea pig in a cage?
Yeah, sometimes. You want to know my honest opinion? My honest opinion, what the government thinks about my family?
Yes.
I think they know without a doubt that what's happening to us is 100% real. And they kind of like watch and listen to see what's going to happen next. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I'm being honest, watch the interview where, well, I shouldn't talk about other shows. We're on Spaced Out tonight, but Lou Elizondo was recently asked in an interview about my family, and he had this like, oh, I wasn't going to address the Bledsoes, and he had this very, very nice, thoughtful, circular response, making sure he didn't put down my family, but also like not endorsing us, saying we're wonderful people, we're not liars, but he doesn't have proof, but he believes us, but he can't prove it. And it was like this circular thing. Anyway, they know that there are people like us who are having real experiences. My family just happens to, for some reason, be on a big scale. I don't know why. And I really think they watch the experiencers to see what happens next, because I'm going to be honest with you, based on the people I've met, they're not like sitting in rooms chatting with aliens. That's Hollywood. They're not doing it. This is an interdimensional phenomenon. It's beyond their capabilities. I know that when they did the Skinwalker Ranch thing, they couldn't even capture it without it messing with them and terrifying them. And it's like, no, you're not going to pin us down. Did I dodge the question, Dave?
No, I think you're nailing it.
Okay,
you're nailing it pretty good. You want to continue?
So, yeah, sure. I do this thing where I get in. I'm like my dad, man. We like to just ramble. But, anyway, so I think they know for a fact that experiencers out there are the real deal. My father just happened to report his case 14 years ago before this viral internet age, and they came in, they did the little documentary. Now it's like everybody's going to the internet and they're reporting stuff. You know what I mean? They can't keep track of everybody. Anyway, right place, right time, and I do feel like we're kind of like a guinea pig. Like how do we interface with the experiencer?
I have a question for you real quick. Who did you report your incident to? Like your father originally?
MUFON. 2008.
I tried to do the same thing, and they completely ignored me.
It's a different, they ignore most people. That's what they told us back then. Yeah. In 2007, they said they get 2,000 reports a month, and they don't even, necessarily have the time to look at them all. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of people out there reporting sightings. They know that people are seeing these sightings. It doesn't belong, the phenomenon. It doesn't belong to the government. It doesn't belong to the military. It doesn't belong to any country. And in my humble opinion, growing up with the government and the phenomenon, that's why they do the NLP, to make us have this separation where like they have their hand on the phenomenon and you and me have nothing to do with it. But in fact, it's the other way around. The normal people like me and you are the ones seeing it. I don't really think they are like they want us to believe. That's just my 2 cents.
Well, one of the things that I heard recently, guys, is this. There are 3 phases to this. Phase number 1 is let's get it out into the media that there is some sort of phenomena happening that could be a threat to United States airspace. We've seen that happen. We're about to enter phase 2, depending on what comes out of the report, which is it's not Russia, it's not China. We don't know what it is. We don't know where it's coming from, but all of our intel says it is not human-made, and it could be from elsewhere. That's phase 2. And that phase 2 is going to go on for a while. Then finally, phase 3, which is, ladies and gentlemen, we are not alone in this universe. And that's still, from what I'm hearing, anywhere from 3 to 30 years away.
It's happening now. It's happening right now. Lou Elizondo is saying it. That's what NASA told me when I was a kid. There will be a soft drip disclosure. We're going to do it in these tiny phases. People think that the president's going to get on TV and just say, all right, guys, aliens are real. They've already said it's real. And I want people to pay attention to what Lou Elizondo is saying. This is like theater. It's like disclosures happening right now. Lou just said in an interview that there's an interdimensional phenomenon, and it's going to make people either go to religion or flee from religion. To me, that's telling. He knows that he told my father, he said, I believe you, man. I know your story, and many others are true. I'm sorry to cut you off, Dave, but it's already happening right now. Disclosure is here, and it's not what people think it's going to be, and that's why I'm holding my breath. Mm-hmm. They're already saying the things, the interdimensional stuff. Tom DeLonge is talking about the force and trillions of layers of frequencies, and the universe is this big psychic mind. I've been tweeting that stuff for months. It's happening right now. Disclosure, in my opinion. Sorry.
But what kind of disclosure, though? We're not getting to the disclosure that ET is here, or interdimensional species, or species from inner Earth are here yet, or whether they're from the future or another dimension. We're not getting that right now.
I don't know that they know.
They know. They undoubtedly know.
We'll see.
I
honestly don't know. I honestly don't know if they do.
But they do know. No, I'm not trying to be rude, Ryan. I'm really not. But I have seen them with reptilians underground. I've seen them with mantises. I have seen them with greys. They have ETs that are working with them. They are not just abducting people, having a black helicopter come over my house. They take us multidimensionally more often than they take us physically. This is not something that they are unaware of. They already bloody well know that we have ETs already living amongst us. That is no secret to these people. There is just layers of this information that is being presented to people, and depending upon what it is that you are actually able to do, it really determines what amount of information you get from them. And I'm not trying to be rude about that. That is not my intention.
I don't get that. Trust me, you're fine. It's midnight here. I'm a little sleepy, but you're fine. I'm not offended. Like, I appreciate you feeling like, we're good. And honestly, I'd like to hear more about that. The stuff you were just going into, because I will say, I have heard some mentions of some underground bases by some NASA people, out in New Mexico and places like that. He didn't go into detail. Did I lose you?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I saw your mouth move. I didn't hear words. Sorry. Anyway, I did hear about underground bases in New Mexico, so I would like to hear your experiences.
They are all over North America. You are going to have a hard time finding a single province or even within a couple state radius where you do not have an underground base. And the reason why I honestly believe this to be true based on my experiences is the amount of times that I've found myself in these underground bases isn't even funny. They have these network of tunnels that are connecting them. They do have high-speed trams or trains, whatever it is you wish to call them, that do interconnect them. They do come at these also from very remote locations. You can't necessarily find them on Google Maps. I know people are like, well, how come I can't see it? Well, they're going to blur those over so you can't see those locations. But I know that, Dave, there's one between you and I because there's one south of me. And I know when I went up to the Yukon that there's one there. There's one at the north end of Vancouver Island. I end up stumbling across an area that sent me and a friend of mine into a PTSD almost attack because he's another of my lab. And we end up driving to this area that was in a super remote location of Vancouver Island. And we both freaked out. I'm like, I have been here with training scenarios. How the hell can I have been here before if I don't know how I've ever been here? And it's very common, unfortunately. And
so what's the point? Why do all that?
Because they're abducting contactees, and they have been since at least the 60s, because they want to find out why the ETs are abducting us. And what they're wanting to know is, what technology are you being shown? What are the ETs telling you? Who's hybridizing you? So for people like myself who are going through the hybridization program, for those of you who don't know, people that have extraterrestrial multidimensional DNA that are also making hybrids, or children that are part human, part ET, both to be born on this planet as well as to grow up on craft. They want to know who I'm being bred with. They want to know which humans I recognize that I'm also being bred with. They want to know what the Pleiadians have taught me on craft as far as school on craft is concerned, recognizing energy, multidimensional, the ability to see auras, how to read into people's past, present, futures, things like that. They're very interested in the psychic aspect of it. They also want to understand how to fly the different forms of ET craft that many of the ETs are using, because they will show their experiencers. The people that they are abducting, the extraterrestrials, they're abducting their family members incarnated into human bodies. The government is aware of this. They can find out who's emitting these different energetic signatures, because every time you have an ET craft come down to pick up someone from going from a different dimension, suddenly popping over your house, there's a huge energetic shift in signature that's now being picked up by satellites. And once that person comes back, once that craft has come back and again drop that person off, they take that person, they abduct them, they find out what the hell happened, and then they memory wipe them. It's a very common thing to have happen. And I know that sounds so conspiratorial and so outlandish, that's hard for people to understand, but for those people that go through it, it gives you the most intense PTSD and frustration, because they're not always nice to you. They will rape you, they will beat you, they will threaten your children to get this information from you. And they start abducting you. They don't care if your child is 2 years old. They did not care when I was in elementary school.
Can I
They
ask a
abducted me
question?
then. Of
Do you mind
course.
who's they?
They're called black ops.
The government people, not these beings.
It is government, yes.
Okay,
Black budget military is what is abducting people after extraterrestrials and multidimensionals come in to interact with these people. And for a lot of us, when they start realizing that, hey, it's in the bloodline, we're seeing the mother is having contact, the father's had contact, oh, look, they joined the military, great. We're going to abduct their kids and see what kind of ETs they're having contact with as well. And that is where the breaking of the mind starts coming in reference to things like MK Ultra, as Dave talked about earlier as well. It is very common for people that are in these bloodline families to be abducted, not only by extraterrestrials and multidimensionals, but also by the governments. As soon as they find out you or your bloodline are abductees, your kids are going to be abducted. That is just how this works. They want to know, and they don't care who they hurt if it means getting their information. Sorry for being so passionate. That's why I don't have
kids. It's all right.
Well, I figured that one out after I had kids, so.
Yeah, that's why I'm scared. I don't want to pass down my BS to them. You know, I really believe that I would do that.
But what if your child, their little soul decides that they like you, they love your energy, they know bloody well that you're going to be in my lab and have all these other things happen, but they still want to incarnate to you and are willing to go through those experiences, as is the case for my next two children.
Well, I never thought of it in a positive way, so, you know, I don't know. I thought it'd be bad for me to do that. I like kids, I like to have one probably, but I just haven't done it for so long just because I didn't want to pass down, you know. Like, how can I protect my child is the way I look at it if I can't even protect myself, you know. I would be devastated if I found out my kid was getting abducted and it was my fault. I don't think I could deal with that.
But my kids do get abducted. Like, they will get up to sleepwalk, and I have found them walking next door. My son tries to walk through walls all the time when he's in this catatonic asleep state. I'm like, get in bed. No abduction for you right now. It doesn't matter if we're in a tent, a trailer, a house, a hotel. Doesn't matter. If they're going to abduct you, they will abduct you one way or another. There's nothing you could do to stop it.
Samantha, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. Samantha Mowat, John Carty, Ryan Bledsoe. ET Experiencers Talk June 25th. Looks like we're off the charts with this one, and it sounds absolutely great. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. All right, we're clear.
Batshit passionate.
Listen
Well,
to
that
you.
was heavy.
That's the second. That's the second shit you've said tonight. You are on a roll.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be so like. I'm not. I hope I'm not attacking you. I'm really trying not to have a.
No, not at all. It's a lot to process. You know.
This is one thing that fascinates me is that everyone has different opinions. Like the evidence just doesn't lead to like one place. You know, like everyone has their own opinions and beliefs, and we're like kind of scattered, but figuring out the same thing. So I love conversations like this.
I love that
I think
comment.
it's great and tense.
Me too. I know, right?
You saw
Can't
it?
improve.
I'm so sorry.
Can't improve on perfection.
You cannot improve on perfection. And they throw up one of the little arm things. That's great. I love this banner. I'm just loving these comments.
Too.
Yeah.
They're funny.
Yeah.
There's some good ones.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's some heavy stuff. You know, if what you're saying is true, and I'm just, you know,
It's okay to speculate.
You get it. You get it. Okay. Yeah.
You know what I see happening here, from an outsider's perspective. I see two people and two families going about this at the same pace, but on two different parallels that still just haven't crossed yet. Because I know, you know, Ryan, knowing your family, I think you guys are very genuine and honest. And then Samantha, knowing you personally and having experiences with you and knowing the type of person you are, I see you being very genuine and honest. But you're both experiencing totally different things, and I would love to see that path intersect, because I could just imagine the information that could come out once those paths actually do intersect. That would be powerful.
I agree. And if I'm ever in South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken.
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Oh,
Yeah.
so close.
One state up.
Awesome. In which case, I
Very
will
close.
totally look you up.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I actually think it's interesting because when you're talking about your family's dynamic with this contact experience, it's nice seeing how other families that are contacted go through this, because I get that everyone's so different with it. It's kind of refreshing to see a different perspective, more, in one sense, kind of normalized perspective.
I'm sorry. I just laughing at the other comment.
But
They're not abductible enough.
Jennifer,
I'm gonna stop looking. It's cracking me up.
I like it. I'll take it. It's nice to have like that mood light, and we'll take it.
So, we're still on the YouTube thing, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, John, what do you think, man? I feel like we've been talking over you.
No, everything's been going smooth, you know. What I think about the whole thing in general.
Yeah, just anything. What's going on, you know, in here? What are you feeling? What are you thinking?
I really don't know, man. I'm just kind of along for the ride. I don't think in too depth about stuff, you know. For me, this every day it's just going.
Yeah.
It's so fast. I don't have time to really actually sit and actually think about it. It's kind of a everyday thing. So I was moving so fast. I don't even know how to explain it. I'm just this is all kind of new for me.
Yeah, I feel that. Basically, you repressed this experience that happened to you, in the 90s?
Yeah, and then it just exploded last year.
And you just opened it up, and it's all just yeah.
I'm getting a crash course right now and everything, I've been, my apartment, I get orbs every morning. Yeah. I record every day, and I record shadow people running around, and
wow.
Got pictures of scoop marks all over me. I have scars on my body. I'm just going through the whole thing right now. Remote viewing happened once. I've been having visions, hearing voices. It's a roller coaster.
Yeah, you're psychically expanding, which is amazing.
Yeah, it hit me hard one day. Like I felt like my top of my head was on fire. Like smoke was like just billowing out, and I had like the vibrations and the goosebumps, and I couldn't walk straight, and I kept seeing like eyes everywhere. Like it hit me hard. I called a friend. I was nervous because it didn't go away for like 2 days. But after that, I had like a remote viewing, and then I started having like visions and stuff like that, and waking up with marks on me, and it's been moving quick. You know, I'm headed somewhere for something, that's for sure.
Sounds like a session with Pascal. That's just crazy. All right, we got 25 seconds. Big thank you to Vinster, Horror Realm, Aussie Ange, Minister Elaine, Jeremy, Cable Guy Matt, Science Bob, and Chad for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, as we are here 7 days a week for your listening entertainment. Sit back, relax. We're going to get this thing going in 3 seconds. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Welcome to the show. My name is Dave Scott. Really appreciate you earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with our Experiencers panel tonight, looking towards what we are going to see June 25th and beyond when it comes to what the Pentagon will release in the UFO files. Will they give us anything? Will there be any juice for us to drink from the UFO tap? Somehow, I don't think so. The panel is a little iffy, but one thing we do know, don't expect aliens to be on the menu from the Pentagon. Samantha Mowat, Ryan Bledsoe, John Carty, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now, right before the break, we were talking about, different experiences. People are, and John, you brought it up perfectly, how everybody has a real emotional investment in what's going on with them, but it seems like everybody is getting just a piece. Just a little snippet, and that's the path they need to follow. So, John, your story is different from Samantha's, who's different from Ryan's, and it moves on and on from there. The way I look at it, getting back to June 25th, what we are going to see coming up here is the fact that this isn't even on the table for people just tuning in. It's not on the table. It's not expected to be discussed. Yet there are millions of people across this planet who continually, sometimes daily, have these incredible experiences. And for you, John, as you kind of move forward with this, and your experiences seem to be really popping up over the last year, do you feel that your experiences are important enough for people to know about, to let that mainstream public who doesn't understand what is going on understand that this is a reality in your life? I
believe so. And I would like that to happen. I think it's difficult. I think people, I say majority of people believe in extraterrestrial life and UFOs, but I don't know how willing they want to go past that. They might believe that there's UFOs flying around, but it might be too far-fetched for them to believe people are being taken. I don't think people have really gone that far with it yet. It's the way I look at it. I think we're ignored for the most part as well. I think the people I've met have, in this circle I have the best evidence I've ever seen about abduction I've ever seen in the mainstream, and will probably never see the light of day, which I think is a shame. I think we're ignored, and to me, I think we're the center of the whole story. Like the abductees, that's what everything's about. That's why the UFOs are here. That's why the beings are here, because of the people they're taking. To me, we're the center of the story, but we're always left out.
Mm-hmm.
Samantha, you want to respond?
No, I just fully agree with them. I agree that they're not focusing on the contactees. But Dave, if people were to start focusing on the contactees at this point, whether it's looking at John's experiences or my experiences or Ryan's experiences, could most people handle realizing how out of control and non-protected in one sense they are? With these beings able to, on a multidimensional and physical, this universal ability to come in and to abduct anyone at a given time. For most people, that could create a sense of anarchy and chaos, unfortunately.
Well, let's go down that road, Samantha and John and Ryan. Okay, how do you think the public would react to the fact that aliens are potentially here? Sam, why don't you continue?
Well, I think if you were to say to your average person, let's say in Canada and America, and say, hey, look, there's ETs, they've been here for thousands of years, and they've been abducting your population, most people think, oh God, I'm going to be abducted tonight. They're saying this could happen, therefore it's going to happen to me. Not look at the fact that most people are not necessarily what these ETs are wanting to abduct. Think of it this way. A lot of the times they're abducting people because they have soul contracts with them. These people have either previous incarnations on other planets or that they have some form of affiliation with these beings. It would unfortunately create a sense of stress and anxiety for most people, which is what a lot of the extraterrestrials and multidimensionals are trying to avoid. They don't want to have humanity go into fear and crisis, move us out of that vibration. And that is why they, the extraterrestrials and multidimensionals, are not showing up in the sky in massive numbers, showing up over our cities saying we're here, because they're trying to do a soft disclosure, very similar to how our government is, but they're doing it from the inside out. Meaning they have star seeds, people whose souls are extraterrestrial and multidimensional origin, incarnating down here, being abducted, making a soft disclosure happen.
Ryan, what's your opinion? How would people react if they knew that there was an extraterrestrial presence on this planet?
It depends how they're told to react. You know, like if they're told that it's all scary and it's a threat, they're going to be in terror. If they are told that there is something there and there's reports of it, you know, hurting some people, healing some people, let them decide. Ultimately, I think people need to be allowed to gauge for themselves how they want to react and not be told how to react. You know, but when people learn the truth that there is life out there, there's going to be some serious existential dread. There's going to be this idea, oh man, my religion was wrong. Well, my religion was right. There's going to be some shock in the collective consciousness, and it's going to take some time to pick up the pieces. And that's why, you know, there's people like us who, I've been seeing the phenomenon in my normal life for 14 years, and I'm going to tell you, it never hurt me, and it healed anybody that came around. So
for me, I worry about the public, and I've talked to Lou Elizondo about this, Sean Cahill, a number of people who have been researching this a hell of a lot longer than I have. And one of the things that I always bring up is I worry for the population. I worry what it's going to do when this reality or this new paradigm sinks in. I worry about the economy. I worry about the person who already feels hopeless and helpless. What are they going to do? I worry that there's going to be, I mean, look at the way we've treated people through COVID. I look at the way people are going to treat each other through this, because this is going to affect every single person on this planet. Mm-hmm. And I worry about that. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't want to make it sound like it's fear-mongering, because it's not.
It's empathy.
It's empathy, and I do have concern that the public is not potentially ready, which is why I understand why ETs would not be on any documents coming June 25th. We don't want to deal with this yet. I think it's going to affect religions. It's going to affect the stock markets. You know, the only thing I really see moving forward here would be toilet paper, maybe Metamucil, and a lot of guns. A lot of guns being sold, right? And I don't worry about the aliens coming down when people buy guns. Okay, not that I'm not a gun guy, so I'm not trying to start a big gun debate here, okay? But this is what I see. I don't see them using those guns to protect themselves from the aliens. I see them trying to do something for their family, or potentially say, well, the aliens are here, not much else to live for. Armageddon has begun, and I've got a list. or I'm going to make sure I'm going to go live out in the wilderness, and I'm going to set up a camp in a cave. This is where I'm going to live from now on, and I need a rifle and 15,000 rounds of ammunition in order to survive because I'm living off of wildlife from now on. I don't want them aliens to find me. This is the potential that I see happening. Am I out of line here, John?
But what type of event would convince that many people to act that way? Like, what would have to happen to even start that? It would have to be like some type of global event, pretty much, right? I don't know if we're going to get that far into it, personally. It would have to be something like undeniable that the whole world sees for them to react that way.
I think it starts off with whomever the president of the United States is when they stand up at the podium at the White House and says, "My fellow Americans, we are not alone in this universe." That's where
I think that would never happen, personally. I don't think that would ever happen. But if it did happen, yes, it could start that way as well. But I think that's I would love to see it happen. Trust me, I'd be so happy. But I just don't see it, unfortunately.
Sam?
I do think that it could happen. And the reason why I think that it could happen to an extent is we do see many ET races actually getting very annoyed with how the humans are being treated on the planet this time and how quickly we're destroying our planet. A lot of the ETs that I've met have actually preached the fact that they want us to treat our animals better. They want us to respect the planet. They want us to actually show a degree of humanity towards one another instead of this divide and conquer that our governments are doing so strongly. And they're giving our governments a very limited time to be able to get their shit together. And if they don't, they are going to be, sorry for swearing, going to be putting things a bit more into their own hands. And so to an extent, yeah, I could see the governments with some of the beings that they work with be like, okay, we're not going to have the reptilians come out because that's going to just scare the living bejesus out of most people. So let's go with a nice little humanoid group. Let's go with one that looks like there's one that looks more Palladian, more Nordic, something a little less threatening, a little more similar to us that we can have a greater sense of control of our public over. It might be 50 years away. Go ahead, Dave.
Ryan, I want to get your opinion on this, and then I have a question for Samantha.
Could you reiterate the question? I was really
yeah. I mean, it's a heavy topic, but just in regards to, I can see that the government is not wanting to talk about this because of the fear that could happen within the public. In the end, we have 7.8 billion people on this planet that are going to be affected by this, and we got to make sure that not everybody's freaking out, or a good portion of them are not by any sort of understanding of an ET presence on Earth.
So how do you approach, from the government's perspective, how do you approach the subject, right?
Exactly.
You get a rock star who the majority of the world grew up with, because the majority of the world are millennials, who sold platinum albums to make the subject cool again. You make it entertaining. I'm just saying, pay attention to what some of these folks are saying. It's not just entertainment. They're really saying some things here that are intentional. And I need to be careful. Disclosure's been happening for years. It's already here since the Nimitz video released. I honestly don't think that the president will come out on TV and say, my fellow Americans, there's aliens here, because that's not the process. The process is drip. Years ago, they were talking about bacteria on Mars. That was a drip. The Nimitz. That turned the faucet on. Now everything you see these people in these communities, like intelligence, media, whatever, all these discussions they're having are, changing the collective unconscious, shaping the way that we see it. It's not just going to be some bam, okay, they're real. I don't think that's it. I think it's going to be very speculative. I have read some of these DARPA documents. They're always very speculative. And I am just concerned that they're going to speculate, is it a threat? I hope they don't. I really hope they don't. Because they know it's not all a threat.
All right, I have a couple questions here. Lots over in the UK is asking, Samantha, is there a way people can protect themselves from mind control plus psychotronic weapons and technology?
As far as the tech is concerned, I'm sorry, I don't know any ways to properly protect yourself from the tech. With the psychotronic weapons, I haven't figured that one out. I have no idea how to protect me from that or how to protect you from that. With mind control, the easiest way is to honestly not have TV. It's called programming for a reason. unfortunately.
I agree with that one.
The other way that you can better get yourself out of the mind control aspect is to do a ton of meditating and to really work on your psychic abilities, to decalcify your pineal gland and to switch over to a raw vegan diet, because you'll no longer have the influence of other energetic influences, such as we receive from all of our processed food, which has no nutritional value and no energetic value, as well as all the animal products that we all are so terribly addicted to, all emit a vibration that lowers our energetic field. It actually makes it so we get sick by eating animal products. So that's the only way I could think of to actually protect yourself from mind control. Sorry.
Not giving up bacon.
Oh.
Not giving up bacon.
Wow.
Not. All right. Zach is asking the panel, your thoughts on alien implants. Do any of you have one?
Yeah.
I do have an implant.
Where's yours?
I have a dental implant. I do not have an alien implant.
Oh, I'm about to say. I've heard of the implants in the teeth, though. I've heard of that.
I do. No. I have a real. It's just a joke. It's probably.
I know that.
I've
heard of people have actual alien implants recently, like up in their like teeth. Like it's like a new thing supposedly. Yeah. So
wow.
I have one in my nose that was put there by the Greys, and I have one on my thigh, and it's on it's this weird little bump thing, and I've had them ultrasound it to check out if it was cancerous or a lump or anything. They're like, we don't know what it is. We don't know why it's raised like that. And it's not very big. Like, it's smaller than a grain of rice. It's like a grain of quinoa that's under the skin. Sorry for the cat. But there's energetic implants and physical implants as well.
Okay.
So you have to look at the two dynamic. Most extraterrestrials and multidimensionals will use energetic implants. Those that have more technology that's more crystalline based or vibrationally based. Things that are closer in technology to us, the tall whites, the Greys, the reptilians, will use physical implants.
I will say this. I don't know if this has ever been said. My dad, this part's been said. When he was, I guess, 10, he was shot by a shotgun. Now, this was back in the 70s. It was all lead pellets. They didn't have quite the technology they have now. So from 10 years old all the way until now, so many of the lead pellets are still in his body because, the blast was so close to his heart, they couldn't remove all the pellets. What happens if there's a foreign anomaly in the body? It pushes to the surface, right? Like a splinter. So my dad, at this age, almost 60 years old, he can lift his shirt. And he has lead pellets on the skin of his stomach. Now, when his experience happened, people started saying, do you have implants? You need to take a magnet to your body into those pellets. And honestly, one of them, lead is not magnetic, but one of them is magnetic. So I don't know. That's a shocker to me. We never got it sliced out by a surgeon and tested to see if it was an implant. But my dad definitely has something magnetic in his stomach that if it was one of those lead pellets, it wouldn't respond to the magnet. So I don't know. Maybe he has an implant.
Yeah,
I know I'm
myself.
implanted.
Are you?
Oh yeah. Go ahead. You tell yours.
I have no idea. There's nothing to tell. I have no clue. If I kind of assume I do, but I'm not sure. It's an assumption.
I think you've got aliens. You've got aliens.
Well, I'm sure. I know I do. But, as far as the implant, I got plenty of holes and scars on me. There could be one somewhere in those areas, but I haven't, checked for sure. I'm a little nervous to do so.
Mine is in the back of my head and it's funny because this actually ties to Samantha. This is the games the extraterrestrials or whomever plays. When Samantha and I came out of the forest that day on April 15th, 2014, after seeing the extraterrestrials, I clear as day remember stopping in the middle of a field and Samantha asked me point blank, Dave, have you ever been taken before? And I recall saying, no, I never have. And she says, okay, now that you've had this experience, there's a good chance that it's going to happen. The funny part about it is, for the longest time, Samantha never recalled or still does not recall having that conversation with me, which is funny because come September 30th of 2014, I woke up on the table to the feeling of little fingers running through my hair. And then I felt the knife in the back of my head, and then the guy right beside my shoulder here pulling the skin over top of my scalp, and then I heard the drill. And then I heard Samantha's voice in my head saying, don't worry, Dave, it doesn't hurt. And the pain went away like that. and it started tickling. And then that's when I knew they were implanting my head.
It wasn't me who said that. They stole my voice.
Yes.
I was not present.
No,
in that
you were not there. You were not there. Let's be clear. You were not there.
No.
But your voice came prevalently to me. It was almost like you were sending me a telepathic message from while I was on the table.
Wow.
It was the weirdest thing. And that wouldn't surprise me because you're weird that way.
Thanks. But Dave, they would do one of these where there's a pressure point right here that I often find myself holding on other contactees, where you have like a couple of fingers, like two and one behind. One goes behind the shoulder blade, one goes right here, and they're pressing something, and it puts people into a more relaxed catatonic state. And I've held that on other people when I've been with ETs and we're abducting someone. I know that sounds bad, but it's to put people in a more relaxed state. So it wasn't mean. So.
No, I don't recall ever being pinched. Because
Like
I,
Star Trek.
I recall it all of a sudden tickling, and then they had to rush me back because I had to go to the bathroom. That's the truth. That is the truth. So
Okay, I
mean,
genuinely don't know any of this story, so I'm just gonna act like I'm a call-in. Why? Like, what did they do to you? What?
well, after it was funny because Lorian Fenton, who
I'm familiar with her.
okay, Lorian Fenton laughs every time I tell this story because she literally says, Dave, I know your story is real because no one would ever admit to this. My face, okay, I'm lying on a metal table, and I wake up, like I am conscious while this is happening, and I am feeling them work in my head, trying to cut open my skull, and there's one guy here who's holding the skin of my head, this way, and the other guy is trying to get his fingers into where they cut and try and jam something into the back of my head. And in the meantime, I gotta pee. And I start saying, my face is in one of these donuts, like a massage table donut. And I'm literally sitting in there and I'm yelling at him. I'm like, guys, you got to hurry up here. I got to piss like a racehorse and I'm going to pee all over your table if you don't hurry and get me back. And I kept repeating this, like, guys, hurry up, man. Don't mind what you're doing. Just get me back so I can go to the bathroom. Right? And all of a sudden they start getting all jittery, like, holy cow, this guy knows what we're doing. And they start moving really fast. Next thing I know, I wake up on top of my covers. My head is buried in my pillow. I gasp a great big breath of air because I can't breathe. My face is in my pillow. I jump up. My head is killing me like I just drank about 10 tequilas in a row. Mm-hmm. And I run to the bathroom, and I had one of the greatest urinary experiences of my life. Stood there for about 4 or 5 minutes.
Like Austin Powers?
It was fantastic.
That's what
honestly,
like Austin Powers. When
it was a fantastic pee, a great pee.
Wow.
And that part of the story makes Lorian Fenton laugh every time because that's just something you wouldn't make up, right? So, I mean, that's what happened to me. And then my next experience being taken was a few months later, where I just have a snippet where there was 5 of them standing around. They were all my height.
What they look like?
They were tall, thin grays. It was weird. They almost look like the cartoon drawings of what you see on South Park, the visitors. Mm-hmm. And I remember the one had a hold of my left hand, and I didn't realize how weak they were. And I remember them. What was weird about it was I heard English. I heard a voice say, "Oh, blank, he's awake, get him back, get him back, get him back." And on that third get him back, I was able to release my left hand, and there was one standing right in front of me, and I punched it as hard as I could, right in the chest. And he went flying back, and then I was out again. And I woke up in my bed.
Wow.
But probably the coolest one, though, was when I was in a dream state. We got about 10 seconds here. Long story short, they're going up. I said, guys, I told you I didn't want to go today. Told you I didn't want to go. And the next thing I know, I'm 3 feet above my bed, and I fall into my bed. That was a cool experience. Miss SOR felt my hand slap her on the back as I was falling into bed. Stay right there. 2 hours down. For another half an hour, we have Samantha Mowat, Ryan Bledsoe, John Carty. We're talking experiencers with extraterrestrials. Are you ready, if you're not an experiencer, for the knowledge?
These comments are wild, Dave.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Trying so hard not to read them.
Oh, yeah, you got. Did you still have your shoes on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're funny.
Oh, yeah. I love the snark. Yeah, bring it on. You know what? I'm going to disappear. You guys can make fun of me as much as you want. I'll be back in a couple minutes. I'm going to run my dog.
I'll be back in a second myself.
Go for it.
Wow.
And that's entertaining. Hey.
Oh my
come
God.
here. What is it?
Just all the comments. Some of them are really funny.
Right? Someone said something about me ratting myself out about abducting people and committing a crime. I'm like, crap, I didn't think about that. It is a crime.
What, abducting people? Oh yeah, that's kidnapping.
I know, but I mean on craft. Like, oh,
That's
you'd be surprised. Yeah.
That's what's the word? Kidnapping. I can't remember. It's 2 a.m. here. Don't say anything interesting. I gotta pee.
We'll try our best not to. Oh my goodness.
Oh, someone told me to let you know you're on air, but you know that.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm not worried.
I'm not either.
I'm back. I heard a conversation. You're an accomplice.
I wish I had known that, but if they abduct me first and I'm just doing what they say, am I really in trouble?
I think they have like a RICO law for that or something like that.
No, I feel so guilty because I actually I was in an abduction with a really good friend of mine about 1.5 years ago, and I was literally holding him in that like position where you've got the 2 fingers on top and the one below while this being was trying to, I don't know what she was trying to do, but it was kind of entertaining just to keep him in a catatonic state, and he still gives me crap for that. Fun.
That's funny. That's nice. You can laugh about it, you know, like be lighthearted.
If you don't, you're going to spend a lot of time crying. So pick your battle.
And when you're mentioning the PTSD, I have that pretty bad. It's
Me too.
How do I put it? It's crippling. I think it just cripples you sometimes. Where I just don't want to see nobody or do nothing, or just want to shut down and recharge in a way. Like just.
Yeah.
It's weird. It comes and goes. Like,
yep.
Yeah, like personally, I haven't slept in my bedroom. I live by myself. I won't go in my bedroom. I don't sleep in there. I just do not want to be in there. I sleep on my couch. I sleep with doors locked, windows locked, lights on, TV on. Sleep an hour at a time.
I fully understand that one. I do, but the way I've come to realize it is it doesn't matter where you sleep. They can tell where you are in your home by your vibration, by your aura. So you could
I know that 100%.
So you could be in a place with like 30 people and they'll be like, oh, that's John. Yep, let's just go get him.
I know that. I know that for a fact. I just can't do it. At least in the living room, somehow I can fall asleep. Because the incident happened while I was in the bedroom. It kind of messed me up that bad where I don't even want to be in a bedroom by myself. So I know that sleep on a couch doesn't matter. But I can at least go to sleep.
That's comforting.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at. And I try to go to my bedroom. I might last a day, maybe 2, but then I'm right back on the couch again.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. I'm so sorry. No. These comments are just wild.
I spend most of my time in chat rooms as well, so I know it gets crazy in there. Sometimes it's completely off topic. It has nothing to do with this show. It's like its own little world.
No, but I understand how you feel with like the not being able to sleep in your bedroom. I have a hard time sleeping if I'm home by myself. I can't do it. Mm-hmm. Like I won't be able to fall asleep. So
yeah, if I wake up and my TV shut off on its own, I like freak out and turn it back on again and then go back to sleep. But it's normal. Like that's not a big deal anymore. It sounds bad when I talk about it and think about it, but when I'm in the motions, it's nothing. It's just regular, everyday. I'm used to it.
Yeah, just do whatever's best for your own mental health. That's kind of the one thing I've found with contact is everything, like my feelings about how other people perceive me, I had to toss all that out the window and just focus on what's best for me. It's easier that way. Yeah.
This is so much
I'll tell you
fun.
what, man, it gets easier.
Mm-hmm.
My brother Chris Jr., he was kind of like what you're describing. Like he couldn't sleep without a light on or, doors unlocked for years. It does get easier. A lot easier with time.
It has been, but just the thought of seeing them eye to eye again, it's just, I accept what's going on. I told them too, I was like, you could do whatever you want to me. I just don't want to see you. And that has been the case. And for some reason, I think they heard that because
Have you seen them since?
Not in visions and remote viewing, but not like in person in real time. No, that's the one thing I'm still kind of terrified about, but I accept it. But the fear, I can't control it. I can't make it go away, even though I wanted to. I want to accept it. It just lingers, and it's pretty powerful. So that's just the one incident I'm trying to avoid. But I know I can't avoid it forever. It's gonna happen. That's one thing I can say for sure. That's where I'm getting pushed towards. I'm getting a crash course and getting prepped. It's the way I, all my footage and everything I go through. That's what my conclusion.
John, I'm going to cut you off right there because we have 20 seconds. I'll ask you, do you guys want to continue this through the last half hour, or do you guys want to call it the night?
It's up to you guys. I'm good.
Let's run with it. There's a lot of audience questions coming up here, so we're going to go in 5 seconds here.
Awesome.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And we want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Syncatagoramatic. I'm not even saying that again. As the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with our Experiencers panel tonight, leading up to the June 25th Pentagon reports. What will they give us? Will they give us anything? How much will be blacked out? We got the opinions from those who are experiencing this almost on a daily level. Samantha Mowat is with us. John Carty, Ryan Bledsoe as well. And Samantha, before we go any further, there's a lot of questions in the chat room about the name of your cat that is on your lap for our YouTube channel.
It's a good question.
We couldn't hear you, hun.
Hunter Moon.
Hunter
Aww.
Moon. Mm-hmm. There you go. Good-looking cat. Solid cat.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Let's start off with Joe's question. Do people get abducted while in prison? Guards ever find people missing? Have you heard any of those cases?
No,
that's a good question, though.
No, I haven't heard any. Have you guys?
I've heard of one. There is a story in the Bible. I can't remember what disciple it is. And he, like an angel, appears and breaks him out of prison. Now, I know that's funny. I know you're thinking, what does that have to do with UFOs? But remember, looking at them from all angles, that was an abduction story. Thinking outside of the box.
For sure.
I think that's what the UFO phenomenon is. They were describing it back then. The angel, whatever. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely.
Wants to know, Samantha, can you tell us more about human harvesting?
So human harvesting is the act of collecting humans physically for multiple uses. You have the use of sex, because humans are fun to have sex with. Sorry. You have the act of eating humans, because we are essentially cattle on this planet to many extraterrestrials and multidimensionals. That's why we see so many children going missing, as well as people that are hitchhikers and whatnot, crimes of opportunity go missing. And it is predominantly the reptilians, not all branches of reptilians. Some reptilians are quite lovely and love humans and don't want to hurt us, but it is two varieties that I know of with reptilians, in particular the ebony black reptilians that are wanting to harvest humans. So
Very cool. Very cool. I want to ask you guys, as we wait for more audience questions here, okay, what do you want the public to know about the experience? All right, we're going to hear a lot about the military experiences over the next while. We're talking years here. We're not going to hear for a while about these experiences that people are having. John, what do you want people to know about this phenomena?
I think it's pretty simple. I just want them to know it's real. Pretty much. It's the most simple way I can put it, that it's real. It's really happening. People are really living this, you know. It happens through people's whole entire lives. It's not a joke. No, we're not crazy. It's not dreams. We're not making it up. That it's real. It's probably the realest thing in my life, to be honest with you. Everything else is just almost fake to me. Like, I feel like we have a glimpse of what life really is, unfortunately. I feel fortunate. I know more than a common person. I see things that most people don't see, you know. I think that's a positive. So, you know, just people understanding that it's real. It's not a joke, you know. A lot of people dismiss it and just say the person's crazy, which, you know, I think is ridiculous, but, you know, it's kind of is what it is. But yeah.
How about for you, Ryan? What does the public really need to know about this subject?
That it would be absurd to think that anything, how can I say it? You know, if we really were on this evolutionary journey of the soul, that these enlightened, multidimensional beings wouldn't have evolved past evil. And I just really feel it's important for people to understand that if you're told that there's some threat that's coming here to like invade us, they're abusing you. That's what I think people need to know.
Mm-hmm.
And for you, Samantha?
I would like to expand upon Ryan's, actually. When we look at these various beings that are coming here, we have to remember that everything from the Greys to the Mantis beings to the Reptilians to the Pleiadians to light beings, crystal beings, everything has the capacity for good and evil, as is mentioned in books such as the Bible, as Ryan has touched upon several times tonight. We do recognize that there were even fallen angels, which are much higher vibrational beings than ourselves, highly psychic, highly capable beings to go between the dimensions, that were capable of miraculous and beautiful things, yet they too were not completely untouched by evil. And my concern with the humanities aspect of looking at the extraterrestrials and multidimensionals is that they're going to paint the various beings with one brush or another. We'll have good or evil based upon our own manipulated perceptions. It could be manipulated through media, manipulated by government, or even manipulated by our own naivety. When we look at the beings such as the Greys, most people look at them with a place of fear, not realizing that some of the most lovely beings I've ever had the pleasure of encountering have been of the Grey variety. And so that's where my concern comes in with humanity, is if they can only know one thing, do not judge these beings any differently than you would judge humans. Judge them on the individual, not on their pure collective.
Do you think, any one of you can jump in on this, do you think the public is ready for extraterrestrials? And knowing that this phenomena, what you are all going through, what others are going through, is real?
Yeah. I would say no.
Why is that, John?
Opposite. I just don't feel. I think it's possibly like an information overload. You know, they're just coming around believing in UFOs, in my opinion. You know, I think I have a hard time handling it. And it's happening to me. I know kind of what's going on, you know, and I have a hard time accepting it. The average person, I think it would be difficult for them. That's just my opinion. I hope I'm wrong about that. I think we all deserve to know and should be able to accept it. That's what I hope would happen, but that's not how I see it happening.
Ryan, how about you?
I think people have a right to the truth. Sometimes truth hurts.
I'm kind of right between the two of you. I do want the public to know, but I want it to be done, unfortunately, in increments. I think if you were to dump all of what the four of us know about ufology onto the standard person, I think most people have a mental breakdown. So perhaps going in a kindergarten through university level, bit by bit, year after year, is our best approach to this subject matter.
Yeah.
And I would agree with that, but I'll take it a step further. I think the public is so self-consumed with their own lives, their 2.1 children, their dog, their cat, their goldfish, their daytime job, their social media accounts, the taking photos of dinners, and the latest bottle of wine that they're trying. I think that they are too self-absorbed and self-consumed to even understand the magnitude of how this will affect them. Now, earlier on, we said, that this has the implications of being something that really negatively affects what is going on this planet. But on the reality side, I don't know if there's enough people who are woke enough, if we could use that horrid term, to understand the magnitude of what's standing right in front of them and what is the possibilities. Let's go to another question here from Australia. Ozzy is asking, panel, have groups of people ever been abducted, or is it mainly an individual experience? Samantha, let's start with you.
Groups of people have been abducted. That has happened multiple times. When you go into any hybridization experience, you'll encounter a lot of people that were abducted individually that are brought together as a group, and there have been people that have been abducted as large groups. I do believe that's part of what we see happening in things like the Bermuda Triangle, as well as the triangle up towards Alaska and the one around the Great Lakes as well.
Ryan, have you heard of this?
My dad and Chase Klotsky had missing time together.
Tell us about that.
Well, they were walking out towards our, where we live. Chase is a boots on the ground kind of person who likes to investigate the scene. Do you know Chase, Dave, or know of her? You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, Chase used to love me until I mentioned my unequivocal unsupportiveness of the To the Stars Academy.
Oh.
And then I got blocked from everything.
Okay.
I got called
I don't want you to think I do support them.
No, I got called fake news by her.
Really?
Oh.
Wow.
Yes.
Anyway, I live in my own little bubble. Like, I don't know any of this. Anyway, and I don't necessarily support To the Stars. I just know these people. I wanted to clarify that. Anyway, what was the question? Oh, the Chase thing. So Chase was on the scene investigating with Dad, and you'd have to ask my dad. You'd have to get him to tell it. I wasn't there, but basically they had about 15 minutes of missing time between Dad, Chase, and I think it was Chase's husband Pete was with them. And when they came to, they were a quarter mile to a half mile in a different location.
Wow. Wow. Have you ever had that happen, Samantha?
Being brought from one location to another, yes, multiple times. In particular, when I lived on a farm in Campbell River, Grant. Sorry, the cat keeps trying to play with the computer, so I'm trying to move computer away from cat.
That's okay.
But
What's that like to all of a sudden show up in a different location?
honestly, it can kind of scare the crap out of you, especially if you wake up. Okay, let me give you a lot more recent one. Last year, I think it was last year, not the year before, I woke up in my nightgown and I was literally about a block and a half from my house, standing in front of an apartment building and a small mall complex. And it scared the crap out of me because it was cold out, it was dark out, and I'm wondering why the hell am I outside in my underwear and a nightdress? Not really somewhere you want to be in the middle of the night with no idea how you got there. And I look up and I saw a black triangular UFO. And this is maybe like a 10-minute walk from my house. So when they do stuff like that, honestly, it is a bit of a piss off because you're like, come on, you know where I live. The least you could have done is put me back in the right space. And as a parent, that does concern me that something like that will eventually happen to one of my children, where they could wake up somewhere else. And because when I was a kid, I would wake up in the weirdest places, outside on the lawn, or locked out of the house and stuff like that. And it's very stressful to go through situations. I can only imagine what your father felt, Ryan. That would be a very frustrating situation to go through.
Nothing really shocks us anymore, if I'm being honest.
Oh, good.
Yeah. If anything,
John?
we're relieved. Sorry, go ahead.
Don, have you ever had any location changes?
I've went from my bedroom to my driveway. I know that's not a far distance, but
So frustrating.
Yeah, I was playing video games in my bedroom, and then like in the blink of an eye, I'm in the middle of a conversation with my friend in my driveway, and I couldn't hear what he was saying. I just saw his like lips moving, and I kept thinking like, how the hell am I outside? Like, what the heck happened? And I slowly was able to hear him, and I kind of jumped into conversation and just blew it off and like dismissed it for a very long time. But that was such a strange feeling. I kept saying to myself, how am I here? Like, I thought I was crazy. Like, I had like amnesia for like a couple minutes. Maybe I walked outside and forgot the whole thing. But the older I got, I realized that probably wasn't the case. And that probably happened like a year after my abduction when I was younger. But yeah, I didn't go far, but I definitely went somewhere.
Casual Conversation with G&A is asking, can any of you interact with aliens upon request?
On occasion I can, but mostly if I need medical healing more than anything else.
John, how about you?
I feel like they're waiting for me to do that. I honestly believe that. If I really wanted to, I could. I feel like they're a little impatient with me, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's my gut feeling, yeah. So I think I can if I wanted to, pretty much.
Ryan? Your dad can.
Well, if you ask Dad, he'll say, I don't, make them appear. They just appear because they want to. He's very humble about it. I think if you have the right intentions, you have the right mindset, and you go out at night or day, whatever, and you request an appearance if it interests them, if it's in their will, whatever. If it's right, they'll show. It's not like some summoning ritual crap. Like, it just doesn't work like that.
Well, you could, if you're using your telepathy and you're connecting to certain groups, you can do what's known as an invocation to bring them forward, because a lot of contactees do practice magic. It is related to psychic abilities. Yes. Wow. Especially our ruling elite, they do practice magic quite a bit. And that's why we see everything from the study of not only astrology taking place, but also you will see that there's a strong overlap when it comes to blood magic, sex magic, things of that nature as well. Even the extraterrestrials and multidimensionals, they use magic to an extent when they're doing bonding and pairing between two contactees who they want to have get together in real life to get married and have children, because they produce happy, healthy hybrids. It's all interconnected in a way that most people don't understand. It depends on the groups you're interacting with and what their intentions are.
All right, Bama is asking, do they want our souls or bodies?
No. They don't want our souls. That's not how this works. Our bodies, to an extent, they will utilize our bodies, but they will not take our bodies. They have their own clones that they can go into. What do you guys think about this?
Well, they told my father that they were here basically to guide us on the journey of the soul, and that they guard and maintain nature. They're basically the forces of nature, and they're very concerned about the development of our soul. I don't think they want to take it from us. That's my experience.
I agree.
Your feelings, John?
I think it's more biological, personally. And I only say that because of all the scars and holes on my body. I don't think they would be drilling me and prodding me if it had anything to do with my soul. Personally, like I said, I think everybody's experience is different, though. I think we all experience different beings as well, and every situation is different. But for me, I think it has something to do with my DNA, possibly. And that's just because of the wounds I have on my body.
Makes sense. Let's go to Joe's question. Is we got 5.5 minutes before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Samantha Mowat, John Carty, and Ryan Bledsoe are our guests tonight. Joe is asking, when aliens abduct people, Do they ever steal souvenirs?
I would like to say yes on that one. I found one other person who had this happen to him as well. Is silverware always missing. I used to get
Wow.
being dead serious too. I used to get grounded and yelled at my whole life. My parents thought I threw away all the silverware. Like all the knives would be missing. I'm like, I'm not doing it, you know. But to this day, like I always find my silverware dwindling down where I have to buy more. It's like the strangest thing. It might not have anything to do with that. But I'm not throwing silverware away. Like, you know, I would know if I was doing that. It's just always been disappearing my whole life. And, you know, I have no proof that's what it is, but I can't figure anything else out. It's the strangest thing. And I met somebody who brought that up to me first before I mentioned it to him. And that's the only reason I put the two together, because she was like, I'm always missing my forks. And I was like, no way. Like, no way. That's crazy. And I was like, are they really taking my knives? Like, what's going on?
Depends. Some ETs do collect things from around the universe, and they do collect human things. There's one hybrid that I met that she had playing cards and a deck, and she had a dried out snake, and she had a whole, like a human desk, and she liked to collect human things because she was part human. She saw it as a way of connecting to her heritage. So I'd never thought of it as collecting souvenirs, but that might be on par with what this person is asking.
Yeah, it's just strange.
Drinking glasses at my house.
Oh.
When I lived in a haunted house in Mission with my ex-wife, our drinking glasses and our teaspoons went missing. Right. Like to the point where we were down to 2 drinking glasses for 4 people. Yeah. It was insane.
Wow.
It was insane.
I was getting grounded all the time.
But at that point I hadn't had that I know of any ET contact. We thought it was the spirits in the house because we had like 5 of them in there that were acting up. But is what it is. Let's go to the next question. B. Hoff is asking, how can one initiate an abduction if they haven't before? Sam, I'll let you take this one.
Sure. Raise your vibrations. Start becoming more psychic. Start doing meditation. Easiest way to start actually allowing yourself to be able to have contact is learning how to astral project and remote view. 2 of the easiest ways to see these beings and interact with them. You can learn how to do it. You don't have to go to some fancy training institute. Go onto YouTube. You can learn remote viewing techniques there. Same with astral projection techniques. Most of these beings are just operating outside of visible light, and it is very easy to do.
All right. John, you want to step in on that one?
I have no idea. I agree with her pretty much. What she said made sense. I don't know why somebody would want to do that in the first place, so...
Me too. Me too. G. West says, as someone who is not well read in abductions, is there a Tic Tac nimble video that is the equivalent to abductions? Have any of you seen a video that you said that's the real deal right there?
The closest thing I've seen was Steven Spielberg's series Taken. They do highlight a lot of aspects of the contact experience quite beautifully in my perspective. How about you guys?
Which movie?
Oh, Steven Spielberg's miniseries Taken.
I'll have to check that out.
You can download it off the Pirate Bay. Not that I endorse that or recommend doing things of that nature.
I'll have to check that out. I never heard of it.
I haven't either.
But none of you have ever seen a video of a person being abducted and you're like, that's how it's done.
No.
I've seen video of maybe activity, like maybe a door opening or something like that, but never the actual being. I don't think it hasn't happened yet. You know, that's the reason I have security cameras in my apartment in the first place, because I wanted to capture one. I was pretty confident of it, but I don't think it works that way personally.
Yeah. How many cameras you got up in your house?
I have 2 in my living room. I have one facing this way and then one under my TV facing the couch where I sleep that roll 24/7. And I've actually captured some like alien orb figures and shadow people, so that's been pretty fun. Getting some footage.
That's amazing. Maybe one day you will be able to get that $1 million film, man.
You know, I think everyone wants that one piece of footage, you know, like that one definitive piece, but I think that's almost impossible. You know, I think I have some pretty good stuff, and I know it's in a lot of people's eyes, it's not enough. It's like never enough.
Never.
I could take a selfie with a gray, and it still would never be enough.
Very true. Guys, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. And our great panel tonight of Ryan Bledsoe, Samantha Mowat, and John Carty are going to stick with us right to the top of the hour. I know it's late for John and Ryan on East Coast time, but I think we're having too much fun taking your questions, talking about ETs, abductions, June 25th. Let's continue the roll here on Spaced Out Radio when we come back. All right, we're clear.
Cool.
Good job.
It's getting later and later. I'm good. I promise I'm not bored.
Hey, you're doing great, Ryan. You're doing great. I'll fire you up
definitely
this
fun.
half hour.
Okay. All right,
You
I'm gonna
don't
step
look
away to use the
tired.
bathroom. Trust
There you
me. Yeah, it's 2:30 here. I'll be right back. I'm gonna use the restroom. Okay.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. But one thing I found is we had security cameras all around our outside of our house for quite a while, just trying to capture it too. And every time something would happen, they would turn off our cameras and it would just be a blank spot. We're like, well, there's no point in this. So we just gave up after a while. But I hope you have better luck than I did.
Yeah, well, lucky, like somehow I've been capturing like orbs, like a lot of them, every single morning, at the same time. And some of these days, the orbs actually change into alien figures in different ones. And I even have orbs that changed into like a demon's face, like on video, and shadow people running around and lights appearing and shadow people running out of them. Like there's a lot of activity over here. It's been interesting.
Glad you said that, because I was going to say, like, they travel in orbs quite often, especially blue orbs. If you ever get a chance to see them, the most common orbs I've seen coming in and out of my house are either red orbs, orange orbs, or blue orbs, although I have seen the occasional pinky one as well. But that's how a lot of them travel to their craft, is they use orbs. It's easier to use an orb to come down and get a body and a human, either physically or astrally, than it is for them to take an entire craft down, especially if you're in something like an apartment building. So it's really interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they stretch out like really long in the video, but just for one frame, they'll be standing behind my couch. Different types of beings all standing around my couch for one frame, like looking down where I sleep. It's pretty amazing, really.
Of course. One thing that you'll find, like when you end up moving to your next locations after this, you'll find that they'll have different places where they prefer to abduct you in each home. One thing I found is the most common one for me is, depending upon the group, I often walk up my front door and we'll have an orb or a craft that'll come land on the street right in front of my house, or have an orb go down the grass between my trees. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of funky seeing how they can go from like the small little grapefruit to being like the size of a small vehicle and expand. It's interesting.
What's weird with my situation is the orbs and the beings only appear after I wake up and go to work. Only for like that 2-hour window in the morning. They don't. Nothing happens at night. Nothing happens when I'm there. It's when I get up and walk out of the living room, like the activity just ramps up. It's pretty amazing. It's like clockwork. I know exactly when to record. It's pretty amazing.
So I love that. You're gonna have to start sharing that stuff on YouTube.
Oh, I do.
You have to send me your channel then. That way I can find it.
It's right there in his name, Wreakin' Havoc 215.
I'll take a photo so I don't forget. That can be a goldfish. So perfect. Yay. I'll check you out.
Thank you.
Ryan, are those rhinoceroses on your shirt? That's a badass shirt, man.
Thank you.
Badass
It's
shirt.
Old Navy.
I love Old
Nice.
Navy.
Me too.
I was wondering with your shirt, because I was looking at that earlier when you were close to the camera. I'm like, what is that? And how can I look at this without seeming like a stalker?
Oh, I couldn't even tell where you're looking.
That's good.
I wet my hair and it backfired on me. I can't get so curly. I wish I could get it like Dave.
Just grow it. You gotta push through. You
My
gotta
fiance
push
will
through.
kill me.
No, she won't.
It's got to be right, you know.
Put on a nice beard on that pretty little face of yours.
I can't grow one.
I'll lend you some. I got like 5 beards in the studio here.
I wish you could, man. I can't grow one. I'm almost 28. I can't grow a beard.
What do you want? What kind do you want? I've got old man.
thick.
I've got handsome gray.
I want the. You know.
Do you want a Bob McGuire beard? I could send you a Bob McGuire beard because he sent me one.
No, I'm thinking more like Sifu, like Chinese Sifu, like Kung Fu Master.
Got it.
You know,
I got it.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a guy named one of our listeners, Bruce's beard. Yeah. I can send you Bruce's beard. Just glue it on and you'll be good.
There you go.
Yeah. Only the finest beard oils, my friend. Only.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. Mighty Moose Beard Oil. Go to mightymoosebeard.com. Tell Gary the Dutchman that you want to use promo code SOR 2019. Remember, Dutch people don't like to give deals, but this one does. mightymoosebeard.com.
Oh, God.
Yeah. All right. Big thank you to G West, Lots, Kamloops, Lib, Vinny, Horror Realm, Ange, Elaine, Jeremy, Matt, Bob, and Chad for the super chats. Here we go with the final half hour, everyone. We're 5 seconds to showtime.
Oops.
Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Appreciate you taking the time as we do things a little bit differently tonight. We're going to skip the news. We're going to skip the thought of the Dave, and we're going to continue with our panel tonight of Samantha Mowat, John Carty, and Ryan Bledsoe. We want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, we're going to get right to audience questions here with our panel who is talking about UFO and ETs, abductions, ET contact. What does this mean come June 25th? We have all agreed that this is not going to be anywhere close to what the Pentagon releases in just a few days from now, but that's okay. We're telling real stories, real experiences here. We're going to start off with a question from, let's get to it here. Let's go to Big J, who is asking, what was the first time being taken like? John,
You guys are better for this.
John, let's start with you.
What I think is the first time is the only time that I remember, and I don't remember actually being taken. The last thing I remember is just seeing them looking in my window. I only remember maybe 2 minutes. That 2-minute experience is all I remember pretty much my whole life. But I know it's continuing. With the first time, it was definitely caught me off guard. It came out of nowhere, that's for sure, and definitely stunned me, and affected the rest of my life. It wasn't a positive experience for me at all. I wish I could have looked at it a little differently and approached it differently looking back on it, because I had nothing to be afraid of. It's just the randomness that it can happen at any given second, I think, is what scared me the most. So I have to say it was pretty scary.
For me, I woke up on the table, and as I said earlier, and that's where it really freaked me out, because I didn't know what was going on. I was excited because my friend Samantha told me it was going to happen, even though she doesn't remember me telling her that. And I was, I remember laying there thinking, I wonder what they're going to do. And then all of a sudden I hear the saw. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't feel good. And then all of a sudden it started tickling, because telepathically I heard Samantha's voice telling me it doesn't hurt. And all the pain went away, and I started giggling and laughing till I had to pee. So that's how mine went. But, I mean, I recall 7 or 8 of my experiences now of being taken. And a couple of them I don't want to remember. A couple of them I think are really cool. A couple of them I just don't understand. I don't understand, but it is what it is. That's the way it goes. Ryan, you haven't been taken yet, have you?
Not to my knowledge.
No, you're boring.
I have a lot.
You're boring.
Not boring.
I'm teasing, by the way.
It's okay. I can take a joke.
All right, let's go over to Jennifer's question. She is asking, have you guys witnessed other beings being abducted or others being abducted where you were present for other people's abductions?
Yes.
No.
I've seen my kids be abducted, my parents be abducted, my sister be abducted. I was abducted with a woman that I went to one of my mommy groups with. She and I remembered seeing each other when I lived in Mission, which was entertaining. And I've been abducted and abducted my primary hybridization breeding partner on multiple occasions. And when he's ready to start speaking about this publicly, I'd love to have him verify this as well.
Wow.
It's entertaining. That's the best way to view it. You can't really look at it from fear or anxiety or from even complete jubilation or anything, because we are not educated enough to really understand what their true objectives are behind these abductions. Sometimes when I do go with them to abduct people, for instance, this is going to sound very odd to a lot of you, but when you go up on craft, sometimes you will shift out of your human body and you will step out of this body and you will go into an ET body. Your soul will literally transfer from what it's in now into something else. And sometimes you'll find yourself in the body of everything from a gray to a mantis, depending upon what needs to be done and what it is that you're able to handle. So I know it's very hard for you to understand, especially probably for you, Ryan, because you're looking at this from a totally different level of understanding with ufology than I am. And if I hadn't had it happen multiple times, I wouldn't understand it either. But that is part of where we will sometimes switch out of this body and then go abduct other humans, because you'll have a better level of understanding on craft. And when you're in the presence of the extraterrestrials and multidimensionals, then you'll ever understand down here on this body or this planet. So kind of heavy. Sorry.
A little heavy. Is asking, John, what was your remote viewing experience?
Okay. One night I just went to sleep, but instead of having a dream, I had like a remote viewing experience. And it was another planet. I don't know what it was, where it was, but it was like a dark red ground. It was super windy. There was it looked like a dust storm, and there was a building, and there was a being outside, like in the dust storm, fixing something, bent over. And I'm just watching him, and it doesn't see me, but it just stops completely and freezes, and it just slowly stood up and just slowly turned around and just made like direct eye contact with me, and we just stared at each other for a little while. It was kind of intense, and then I had the feeling of like being dropped on my couch. Like I heard myself hit the couch, like it woke me up, and I went and checked my footage immediately, and I didn't budge. But I physically wasn't there, but I felt like I was definitely there. Like it was not a dream. Like I felt the wind and like the sand and the wind hitting me. Like I was in the middle of like a dust storm pretty much. And just the way it reacted to me, like it knew I was looking at him, and it just froze while it was doing something. And the way it slowly stood up, like it was like almost a little nervous, like it knew something was watching it. And I drew a picture of it. The picture is creepy to me because the facial expression I got pretty dead on. It had almost like an ET shaped head, like the way like the top of the head was, but it was more like compact, if that makes any sense. And it was like a dark brown, and the image is burned in my brain. It was the only time that's happened to me, but I never believed in remote viewing. I thought it was all BS until that incident, and it's undeniable. I hate to like second guess everybody else's stories, and then when I find out it's real, I kind of feel bad in a way. I dismiss so many people.
Yeah.
I try not to do that. I'm at the point now where anything's possible. I don't question anything at all. I only know so little, so who am I to question?
Excaliburful is asking, panel members, have any of you ever manifested orbs?
No, but they're around me every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't say I manifest orbs, but they appear in a very high frequency around,
Me too.
I think they kind of have their own free will like we do. And they're just a soul that, you know, doesn't necessarily need a body like we do. And they can come and go as they please.
Zach is asking, I think I might be a hybrid. How can I tell?
Well, there's a number of ways you can tell if you're a hybrid. One, are you going through extraterrestrial multidimensional contact? Quite often these beings will end up following their hybrid charges that are here on Earth because they have an invested interest in the bloodlines. They want to see, is this hybrid going to be prone to schizophrenia? Are they prone to health conditions? What are we seeing as far as their psychic abilities are concerned? What are we seeing as far as human passing is concerned? Those are one way that you could tell. As well, there are a lot of physical features that you can look for with people when it comes to hybridization. So are you extremely fertile? Do you find that you have a lot of orchestrated relationships coming in and out? Do you find that you're being watched by ETs a lot of multiple different varieties as well? Whereas when we look at the physical features, are there certain ET races that you look like you're a mix of this and ET? Like a human and ET, in which case you could be a hybrid of one variety or multiple, depending upon who's hybridizing you.
It's one way to put it.
Yeah.
One way to put it. Have any of you tried a Faraday cage?
No.
Mm-mm.
Me
I
either.
I don't
want
even
to.
know what that is.
Oh, you've got to look them up. Apparently, it can stop all frequencies from coming in towards you, and it can make it so it's just your vibration in this little small box. They're
Aren't
complicated.
microwaves like that? Aren't microwave like technically small Faraday cages?
Oh.
So what is it meant to do? Is it meant to protect you from stuff, or like what's the purpose of it?
Apparently, it can block out incoming vibrations that are coming towards you. So earlier when we talked, like that one person mentioned the the attacks, the energetic attacks, the government attacks, what have you coming in. If you had a giant Faraday cage, in theory, nothing should be able to get in through there. Not psychic attacks, not energetic attacks, things like that, unless I'm mistaken.
I'm gonna
Good
look
to
that
know.
up.
That's good to know.
A lot of paranormal people use it in order to, like, if they're being attacked or having multiple experiences and can't control it, being woken up at night by spirits. A Faraday cage is supposed to allow them to actually sleep and calm down.
Oh, 2 people answered it. They're saying blocks EM waves and blocks microwaves. Wonderful, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Cool.
All right. Sovereign is asking, how do you know that the orbs aren't lodging themselves in the kundalini of each and every one of you?
Well, I'm clairvoyant and I don't see the orbs lodging into my body. I've seen everything from attachments and orbs into my aura, but the orbs that I do see in my aura on occasion are often my hybrid children or my physical children being born. I've never seen orbs just lodge into someone's aura along their chakra system and stay there. That's not quite how that works.
Interesting. Right?
I have a.
I've never thought about that.
Power answer. I haven't thought
I mean,
about
I
it.
keep it real, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm with Ryan. I've never really thought about it. No offense. John, how about you?
I really don't have any input on that. Yeah, sorry.
That's a Samantha question. This is where her brilliance comes into play here. All right, let's get to another question here. Aren't orbs, this from Sovereign as well, aren't orbs also portals and ships?
Sometimes, yes, which is interesting because we were just talking about this on the break, John and I. Orbs can be used as a small transport vehicle between a craft coming down to the earth to pick up a contactee, especially if they're in something like an apartment or a confined space. That's a very common time for an orb to be used. Portals, I'm not entirely sure when it comes to portals. A lot of the portals I've seen open up in my house have been opened up along a wall where it doesn't necessarily have an orb, but that's my experience. I'm not sure what you two have experienced. So.
I haven't
Well,
experienced anything. I've seen orbs come out of nowhere, but I've never seen them expand or shrink. Saw a big one with some friends on my patio back in my Mission, British Columbia days. That one was really cool because it was traveling along the Fraser River and then made a 90-degree turn to south and did a complete 180-degree turn to fly back over Mission, and then all 4 of us watched it like it just, like you have something in your hand and it just drops. That's what it did, right out of the sky. It was amazing.
Wow.
Very cool.
Yes. We think it went into a lake called Hayward Lake because there was a lot of strange stuff that happened in that area.
Mhm.
That's about it. Let's go here. Vinny is asking, anyone had a Myla or Men in Black experience? Ryan, let's start with you on this one. You've had a lot of weird people show up in your yard.
I think that speaks for itself, man. I mean, I very much have been vocal about the fact that people have come to my property, have flashed clearances, whatever. They've made some claims, and some have made comments like we'd be arrested if we said certain things or killed or what have you. Did they wear black suits and ties? No, that's Hollywood. It's like kind of look here, and then it's really going on over here. Mm-hmm. Hollywood is programming. You can't think about it in a literal. Go ahead.
What do you think, though? And I apologize for cutting you off.
It's okay.
About Lou Elizondo saying that Men in Black don't exist.
I think he's right. I think that there are a lot of propaganda subjects that they push to make experiencers like us look pretty unhinged. And I'm telling you, I never had a guy in a black suit show up on my property. They're usually in normal clothes, and they say, "Hey, we're from so and so." I'm not going to say names for my comfort. They're in the CIA. They send a civilian, plausible deniability. They harass you, give you threats, whatever. They're just not in black suits. That's Hollywood. They're not called the Men in Black. They're called something else, which I have not said.
Mm-hmm.
Samantha?
I've only had one MyLab experience where I've seen two people who are dressed similar to that, and they never spoke. They're there for one moment, and they end up walking away. So, not really, no.
John, any Men in Black experiences?
No. Nope.
Excalibur has a question for Ryan. Did your father ever see any UFOs when he was flying?
No. He quit flying planes in 1994 when my grandfather passed away. Mm. So he hasn't flown a plane since the 90s. His initial encounter happened in 2007.
Shar is asking, why do you think ETs are safe when they take an experiment without consent? Why?
Depends on the ET group. Some of them do have consent. Quite often people make soul contracts with these beings prior to incarnating, and in which case you can be abducted from birth until death if you're born to certain bloodlines, and that is the agreement that you make when you're born into those bloodlines, especially if you go through hybridization. Other groups do not have consent. For instance, people who have just one abduction in a lifetime, who are just, in one sense, victims of opportunity, those beings would not necessarily always have consent to take the people that they have. And so I don't know why they're not being necessarily punished or, I guess, kept better in line. I don't know.
What do you think, Ryan?
In my experience, it's not like that at all. In my experience, you got to think, 2007, these shiny beings show up and they say, hey, we're basically the guardians of nature, and they're going to come out and lie about aliens, and maybe they made us think a certain way. I don't know. But in my experience, that doesn't even happen. And then the CIA came to my property since I was a teen and tried to convince us it does happen, if I'm being honest. So I don't know. It's a very hard question for me.
I could see where that would be. John?
Yeah, I'm not sure about this one. I kind of believe they do what they do because they feel like they have the right to do so. Maybe that's their position. That maybe that's how it's supposed to be. Maybe they're entitled. Who knows?
I think. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. No, you're good.
Okay, please finish.
I'm finished. Good.
I was just going to say, I think this ties into what we talked about earlier, where I was discussing the fact that there's a whole spectrum of good versus everything in between, all the way to evil within these multidimensional beings, races. How certain groups are more benevolent towards us, which is the case when it comes to your family. Whereas some of the beings that I've met, some have been wonderful, some have been downright evil. And I think that's why it's really important for all of us to share our opinions, is we get a better understanding about the true diversity of this universe when we look at what all is out there and we take into account everything that's happened to everyone. So that's just my perspective, though.
One final question is, we got about 2.5 minutes left. I'm going to give you all about 40 seconds to answer. This one comes from G West. How will Friday's report change the subject? John, let's start with you.
That's a good question. How would it change the subject?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure. I don't think it's really going to change anything, as far as I'm concerned, unless they release something that I find interest in. I think so far what's been released is not really a big deal, to be honest with you. I've seen aliens. What UFOs are is not really a topic on my brain. I already know kind of what they are, and I know what's inside of them, I guess I would say. So I don't know. I don't think much is going to change. Like every other time disclosure pops up, like I said, I wish I was wrong, but I have a hard time trusting the government with this one. I just can't get over that fact. I can't get over it. I don't know. So I'm just trying to keep myself guarded, and so I don't think much is going to change.
Ryan, 30 seconds.
I want badly to believe that they're going to come out and they're going to tell the truth, that there is an interdimensional phenomenon, and there's another dimension, a spiritual, psychic, whatever. And I am holding my breath that they'll do the right thing, and we'll see.
Samantha, you get the final word on this one. You got about 35 seconds.
No worries. I agree with both of you. I don't think we're going to see the degree of progress that we're all hoping to see. I do believe they're going to keep it strictly on the extraterrestrial aspect. I don't think they're even going to acknowledge the multidimensional at this time. So, because I think it relates back to what you both mentioned earlier, a slow drip process leading the path forward, not a big waterfall. Go ahead, Dave.
I think it also comes down to money.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is why we keep hearing Russia. This is why we keep hearing China, foreign adversary, and words like threat. They can't study this without money. In order to get money from Congress, you have to make it sound like the United States military is being threatened by an unknown force. Therefore, taxpayers' dollars will go into studying and research what they don't already know. And also remember that this is about secrets. There's a lot of secrets over the last 70 years since Roswell that the United States government really does not want getting out of the public. And they have to make sure that those secrets stay in touch with absolutely everything that moves forward in this subject. John Carty, Samantha Mowat, Ryan Bledsoe, thank you for going the distance on Spaced Out Radio tonight, bringing an experiencer's point of view to this highly contested topic. And let's hope that one day we all get our aliens on par and on topic. I'll get you guys to hold on right there, because we got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, LGAB, Twitch, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and all the snarkers and snarkettes hanging out on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Throw a hashtag in front of that. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. I've said it many times and I'll say it again. We got the best theme song going in paranormal radio. Best theme song ever. And I'm confident on that. Confident. Hey guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. You guys made it absolutely amazing. I hope you had fun.
I did.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
It's nice meeting you guys.
Likewise. Very nice.
Ryan, you were incredible. John, you were incredible. Samantha, incredible as usual. Couldn't have asked for better people on this panel. Seriously. Great show. Great, solid show. Good information. Awesome. And we were able to, I think, get some answers there for some good people who want some good information. Oh, Sovereign says, I love Samantha's high cheekbones. You should see them in person. They're almost like sunglasses on her. You know, baseball players wear that black tar under their eyes. Samantha just goes like this, click, and up they go, and she doesn't even need sunglasses.
Yeah.
True.
My alien features. I love it. But I liked how you guys had such contrasting opinions from me. That made it more interesting. So it's nice seeing someone else's perspective. It makes me reevaluate and guess and evaluate my own. So thank you.
Yeah, well,
that's the whole point, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's nice having a different narrative.
We topped out at 207 people on YouTube.
Nice.
That was a good run. Very good run.
Awesome.
I think so.
Yes, it's nice having different opinions with somebody and respecting each other and not having to be like an argument. You know, everybody has their own opinions, and you know, it's nice. I like it.
Me too.
You went pretty well.
Ryan, I know you're looking tired, dude.
I'm so sorry.
Don't apologize, man. Don't apologize. Thank you for doing us the favor. Good
job.
Yeah, let's clap for Ryan. Ryan Bledsoe, everybody. Ryan Bledsoe. There he is. If he had a cap, you would tip it right now.
I would. But yeah, it's 3 a.m. I'm so sorry.
Don't apologize, brother. You're awesome. Please say hello to your dad for me.
I will.
We greatly appreciate that, brother.
Okay,
you take care.
It was wonderful meeting you guys, and thank you, Dave.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you. Definitely.
We'll let you go here, brother.
Bye.
All right, there goes Ryan. And he's going night-night now. We'll let him go. That poor guy, I mean, he was fighting it. You could tell. He was fighting it, and he fought it well. I know you guys are still up. I'm just getting ready to edit here. But if you guys want to hang out, you're more than welcome to hang out. I have nothing planned except to bullshit with the audience now. Samantha Mowat, 3 times you used the word shit on the show.
I'm sorry.
I only know where one is. I forgot to write down the other one. I'm like, oh, my girl Samantha's actually swearing. It's awesome. That's never how she
knows she's passionate, you know.
She never swears. Let's see what Nicholas says here. Hold on. This was a great show, Dave. You do put together great shows together. Ask all the right questions together. You should have an investigative journalist. Should have been an investigative journalist, not sports. Now, sports was my forte. I was trying to use sports to try and get into the NHL. And I came close. And I never made the phone call.
That's okay.
Wasn't meant to.
IEQA?
No, that ship has sailed. I'm okay with that, though.
Okay. Right.
I'm very much okay with that. Would have been cool.
Yeah.
Paul Holland. Great show, Dave. I'm too old, big, and ugly to attract the attention of aliens. Bullshit. Your Les Pauls guitars? Yeah, they'll attract. Yeah.
No, ETs take you literally until you can be 105 years old and they'll still take you if they want to take you. They have totally different ideas about beauty and everything else than we do.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty interesting that way.
Yes, Dawn, this is the Samantha that Dave had the experience with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, she's dangerous. I will tell you that right now. Samantha is dangerous.
What, 120 pounds? How scary could I be?
Dude, Here I am, nearly shitting my pants in the forest. You're like, oh, I'm going to walk over there and say hello and give him a hug and, maybe ask him for the lottery numbers. And I don't know.
Oh, you wish I had.
Oh, damn rights I do. Damn rights I do. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Wouldn't that be great, Dave? You wish every single day that you had actually done what I had done, which would be like walk over there, walk with me, and go give them a great big hug and maybe a piggyback ride or something. I don't know.
You're absolutely right, I do. And you're absolutely right that every day I kick my ass about that. Every day.
Yeah. But that's okay. Next time when we go camping, it'll be fun.
Yeah. Are we going to wait for Science Bob to get up here?
I'm home all summer. Let's just go. We'll do another camping trip when Bob shows up.
How many people does your trailer hold?
My trailer's on the island. If I can see if my dad can bring it up in a month. So we'd always go in August.
Yeah, I'm good to go. I just need to know when.
Okay.
Let's plan it out. We'll make it happen. Go check out some aliens. Let's go to the end of my hood so we can. Actually, if you come this way, or do you have a spot you already got planned out?
I have nowhere in mind up here.
Well, let's go over here to the Mahood area.
Nice.
Because then we can go hear the Bigfoot.
Okay. So,
yeah, Kamloops real estate team, if that was you that won half the lottery, I am expecting a substantial donation to Spaced Out Radio. Because you're $35 million richer right now.
Exactly. So, John, you mentioned earlier that you've had this experience with these beings that you saw and that there are two of them right outside the window, male and female. I love that you intuitively picked that up. But when you're ready for it, you can just send them telepathic messages and tell them you want to see them and to do it in baby steps. That way you don't wake up to like a face like right here and scaring the crap out of you. You can ask them to start showing up in the daytime.
That's something I don't want to do. Actually, they've contacted me and they like. I remember this one time, like I seen this face from like so far away, like with my eyes open or closed, and it like came like this, and it was like I'm ready, and I'm like I'm not ready, and it's like I'm ready, I'm like I'm not ready, and it's like I'm ready, like it was talking over me. I was having an argument with this thing, but the thing was, it was a gray, but it was green. It wasn't what I seen before. They kept saying I'm ready in my voice. I'm like I'm not ready. And eventually it just backed away. Like, I remember the feeling before that happened. I felt like I was standing on a subwoofer. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And then I just see this little tiny face from far away. And that shook me for a couple of days. Like, that's why I mentioned during the show, like, I feel like if I was ready for them to come, they would come, Well, so I'm careful of my thoughts when it comes to that because I want to make sure I'm ready to do it. I'm close. I'm as close as I've ever been. I'm like right there, but it's still a little bit of fear I gotta get rid of, but I know it's inevitable.
Why don't you ask them to see you astrally when you're asleep at night in your dream space? That way it's not as intense physically because you'll be more psychically connected in your dream time and they can just talk to you telepathically and you'll get the energetic feeling without your subconscious mind, your fear jumping to the forefront and make it difficult.
Well, one time there was one in my dream, and once again, it was one I never seen before. It was maybe a 10 to 12 foot tall gray, but the head was round. Well, the chin wasn't pointed, but it was in the background of my dream, like it infiltrated my dream. It was just following me everywhere I went, like in the background. There was a dream where I was abducted twice in one dream, which was weird. And lately I've been having visions like, last week I had one of a gray just standing in my bedroom, but the vision was in my head all day at work. I could not shake it. And then I had the feeling there was like 1,000 people staring at me at work and the vision would not go away. And like, it was a tough day at work. I'm working with my friends. I'm trying to keep my composure. We're like working near the woods and like, I'm freaking out in my head. Like, why won't this go away? So that kind of stuff's been happening. I swear they're just trying to prep me they're trying to make it, I think, so I'm not scared no more is the way I perceive everything that's been happening.
Have you been writing all of it down, journaling it, drawing it out, stuff like that?
I draw pictures of everything I see and everything that happens. I don't write anything down. The stuff's like burned in my head.
It down. because as you start to have more encounters happening, these aren't going to stop. You'll be able to see the evolution of your consciousness, for one, which is important. But more importantly, you'll be able to look at things in like 5 years, 10 years, 3 years even, and be like, okay, that was my perspective then. Now I know this much more about it. And you'll start to collect data and information about it, which will make it easier for you. It's a lot of work. And if you start earlier, you won't end up trying to transcribe 20 or 30 journals like I'm doing, which is a lot of work. And you're going to want to start writing it down. Trust me. Sprite?
Yeah, a lot of people have told me that, yeah.
Please, if you get it from multiple sources, it's your guides trying to talk to you to give you information about how to move forward, right? Like the beings that you work with, angels, guides, whatever you want to call them, it really doesn't matter. They're all kind of the same gambit. And sprites are elementals. They're a variety of, so an elemental is kind of similar to like a fairy. They're multidimensional beings of a higher vibration, typically that are earth spirits. And micro flashes of light are often your clairvoyant seeing spirits of higher vibrations moving across your peripheral. That's what the micro flashes are.
That's interesting because I've been capturing them on camera and I had no idea what to call them. They look like camera flashes, and there's flash, like some actually strobe, and I just figured it was a different kind of orb. I never knew what it was.
But that's the thing, because you're starting to have a lot of things coming forward, wanting to be visually apparent to you. We're looking at this and we're under the awareness that they're wanting to start becoming more involved in your life on an energetic level and more of a clairvoyant level as well. That's where, again, the visions in your head, you're becoming more clairvoyant and more psychic. So that's why I'm trying to get you to write it down and draw it out. Because
hold on one second here, guys, because I just want to quickly make my shit edit here. There it is.
right?
Perfect. We're good.
All right.
All right, you guys can chat away again.
All right.
I'm good at not normally having a potty mouth.
Yeah, what was with you, you potty mouth? You should wash your mouth out with soap before the show. Getting all crazy like that.
You gotta let them out once in a while, you know?
I'm pretty good normally.
I'm thinking that you must have had some ice cream tonight. You did, didn't you?
I never ate ice cream. I totally did. It was so good.
You did, didn't you?
Yeah, I totally did.
I knew it. I knew it. That's why you became potty mouth tonight. Sovereign Farts is asking, what do you think sprites are?
We answered it. Don't worry.
Well, then I don't need to worry about that. All right. Samantha, do you know of any negative energies or entities tied to Saturn?
I've heard of them, but I don't have direct proof with my experiences of any of the beings from Saturn. I know that Saturnian energy has been viewed by some of the beings as being discordant and chaotic, and so I'm reluctant to want to astral project there. Like the moon, I wouldn't astral project there on purpose. But offhand, no, I don't have any direct information.
Big J is asking, have either of you ever been on any DUMBs, deep underground military bases?
And that's where my MyLab encounters typically happen, as we talked about earlier this evening, talking about the government, the Black Ops in particular, abducting contactees and taking them to these underground bases. That is where I've been. I've been to one that's in Alaska. I know I've been to one that's in British Columbia, somewhere between me and Dave, so mid-province-ish, going to mid-south-ish. And I know I've also been to one on Vancouver Island. So, kind of frustrating. But that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, north of me, south of you.
So we just got to triangulate it and figure out where it is.
I have a feeling.
Oh, good. Let's avoid that area.
Yeah.
I don't want to...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I don't want to go there and have more physical encounters with them. So.
I hear you. I hear you.
All right, I'm gonna have to get going.
All right, John.
I'm ready to call it a night. But thanks for asking me to come on. I appreciate it.
Oh, anytime, dude.
And,
Anytime. I'm glad you joined us, man. I wanted you to be a part of it, so I was excited when you said you would.
yeah, I appreciate it. It was a good time. Like I said, I like hearing other people's views and having a respectful conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we should be comfortable saying whatever we have going on, even if it does sound crazy to other people. You know.
Yeah.
So.
I totally understand. But it was lovely meeting you, John, and I'll see you
nice
again
meeting you
soon.
too. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. You guys have a good night or a morning, whatever it is where you're at.
Good night.
All right.
See you guys later. Thank you.
Bye.
Sam, I got more questions for you if you want.
Sure, I'll do 5 minutes more, and then I want to go to bed too.
Yeah, I'm still here for another 20 minutes, so that's okay. I don't mind it. The question here, can Samantha go a bit more into her thoughts on connections between the aliens and the occult?
Yeah, of course. There's a couple things that I have noticed in particular. As we discussed earlier this evening, we talked about the process of bonding and pairing with extraterrestrials and multidimensionals. So to put it very simply, is sometimes when I'm abducted on craft, I will go through a form of ritual with other humans, in particular men that I go through my primary aspects of hybridization with. With hybridization, I typically get bred with one man at a time, and he'll be my primary, as in main partner for breeding, for a set duration period of time. And that is to determine which hybrids are going to come as a result of his DNA being in conjunction with my DNA. And what happens is we will end up standing on, we'll both be abducted physically. He'll get picked up at his house. I'll get picked up at my house. We'll be brought to the same craft. Normally it's a bigger craft. I often find myself inside of a room with this gentleman, and there will be a couple ET beings in the room with us. I have seen a mantis present as well as a couple of grays. And what will happen is you'll both be completely naked. On occasion, we will be wearing, for some reason, I've found myself wearing a long white dress, similar to that of like a wedding dress that's very form-fitting, very close to the body. And what they do is they actually merge the two auras together. And what happens is when they bring the two people in close proximity and their hands actually begin to touch like this, it does some sort of energetic vibrational exchange between the two that does this form of linking of the two auras so they become psychically connected. What this does is it's actually a magical practice, which is the linking of the Kundalini energies. For those of you who don't know, of course, Kundalini is the energetic essence contained at the root chakra that when you have an orgasm actually goes up through the chakra system all the way to the top of the head and typically goes outwards. But if you're in the act of really deep interconnected sex with somebody, and as is the practice with sex magic, which is what these beings get you to do, is you will actually end up having sex with that person as your auras are merged, and it causes a strong psychic bond between the two people, allowing for them to make healthier hybrids because they're able to contain more of the higher elevated activated DNA. So what that means is, yes, that is magic, because energy is the use of energy manipulation is what magic is. A lot of you think magic is Harry Potter, and Harry Potter is not quite an accurate representation. When you're looking at the aspect of this, is there's that component, but then there's also the aspect of how it ties into the menstrual cycle in relation to blood. So what we're looking at here is on a different aspect of that spectrum is we look at the occult aspect when it comes to the use of sex magic to do invocations to draw in these beings. One thing I don't commonly talk about with people is that you can do invocation, which is the act of calling a being to you through magical practices. In particular, if you're having very deep interconnected sex with someone, the two of you can make the intention, especially if you have people surround you in a circle, it'd be an amplified amount of energy to bring forward a being to communicate with. And in particular, if a woman is either ovulating or menstruating, they have a higher amount of energy that is being emitted by them. And you're probably trying to understand, okay, well, how does this relate to sex? How does this relate to the occult? How does this relate to aliens? Well, it's a means of drawing them to you. And so it's a little bit different than what people are expecting, but it's because you have more energy coming through you. So you have an increased amount of telepathic stream and information as well. It is a lot to absorb, and I'm probably partially losing you. So yes, sacred exchange of energy. I love that. That is totally, or sacred energy exchange. You're totally right. That is exactly what sex is. And so with a lot of these beings, a lot of the occult just means hidden. And so when you look at a lot of the people that are ruling us, the cabal, so to speak, they are very aware of the aspect of magic being used as a means of manipulating people, as a means of bonding people to one another, as a means of connecting to these beings. These beings do practice magic themselves. And actually, one thing I want to mention is there were groups when I was a child, about, I know, early teenagehood, 13 through 16, who told me I was not allowed to have sex with a lot of different people because they told me there'd be cords of energy connecting me towards the people I had sex with. And they didn't want me to have my energy being drained by those people or to be absorbing the energy from the people that they didn't necessarily approve of. And so that in itself is part of them trying to manipulate, with my best interest in mind you, to who I would and wouldn't have relationships with. So it's a little bit complicated. Now, when we're also looking at the occult aspect of this, a lot of these beings, when we look at the Greys in particular, I have seen Greys holding wands before. And when you think wands, I want you to actually think like a Harry Potter wand. I know I just said Harry Potter is very different than what we just talked about with what magic is, and it is. But when it comes to the Greys, they do have devices that they actually use to amplify their telepathic energy. And they have passed me one of these wands in one of my abductions. It's very different because when you look at what a wand is simply a means of taking energy, in a particular telepathic and psychic energy, and using it as a means of directing it. And so it's a little bit, it's kind of hard to explain unless we start going into a lot of the aspects of what all the different psychic and magical implications are. And so when we're looking at the aspect of the body and the sexual aspect of what happens with the sacred energy exchange that we're talking about here when it comes to the occult, it the ETs know bloody well what they're doing, in particular the ones that go through hybridization. Because with the main gentleman that I'm being bred with at this time, he and I are able to tell a hell of a lot about each other. I can tell when he's eating certain things. He could smell when I put too much pepper on my food. We can tell what the other one is wearing in a day. Quite often we can remote view astrally and physically just spontaneously things that's going on with one another. And this is because of the bonding and pairing process that the extraterrestrials and multidimensionals have done with the bonding process and the occult aspect that we're just talking about. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed this one.
No, I just added this one in.
Yeah.
What
So I
do
was
you
looking at
think?
the side comments. Does Samantha think MK Ultra mind control entails? Okay, MK Ultra is a fun one. And by fun, I mean frustrating as all hell, but I try to have an optimistic perspective on everything. So one thing I've found is that the extraterrestrials and multidimensionals have not been behind any of my mind programming in that capacity. They do put me into a form of altered state of consciousness, but it's very different than an alter. When comes to my alters, I got them from my MyLab encounters, which I know started, judging by what I can tell with my memories and my detailed recordings from my journals and what I can recall from childhood, sometime in elementary school. And with mine, there's different ways you can get people to go into mind control. You have to break them psychically. That means push somebody to their limits. So you're either going to do a form of physical abuse, mental abuse, you're going to do sexual abuse, something to help fracture the mind. And it's going to be quite traumatic. It does happen to everyone who is in these programs. You will not meet a single person who is on my lab who isn't somewhat mentally broken. Same with anyone who's gone through MK Ultra programming, anyone who's a super soldier. We are all mentally damaged, whether you want to see it or not, because all of us have ourselves broken into altars. I know that with mine, it was done through sex. I know it was done when I was younger because I'm hyper paranoid about keeping my kids safe when it comes to that, and I'm a helicopter parent because of it. And I don't believe this does have to do with demonic possession. Demonic possession is something that comes separately. With MK Ultra, it's essentially done for a number of different reasons. It depends on what that person is being used for. So once you break somebody and get them to that broken point, you then would start to put into sub-alters. And these alters do have typically keywords, phrases, visual images, and often smells. Smells a very big one as well. I find that there are certain shows or things that I will see that I have noticed have flipped me into alters, and I can't watch those programs. Even when I watch things like Star Wars, I can't go see stuff like that in the theater because every time I have a flat out anxiety attack. Demonic possession, though, when we look at that, that can be done through energy attachment. As we talked about a couple minutes ago, we were mentioning the fact of, oh, 1 second, thank you. We're talking about the fact of the orchestrated relationships being done with extraterrestrials and multidimensionals, and how they told me that I was allowed to have a lot of sexual partners. Well, part of the reason why they didn't want me having a lot of sexual partners is everyone you have sex with, you have the energy exchange with. And if that person has an energy attachment on them because they're using things like crystal meth, abusing alcohol, abusing drugs, they've been sexually assaulted themselves, they're going to have an entity attachment on them. And so if I were to have sex with one of those people, that entity now has a slight attachment onto my aura because of the cord that's connecting me to this other person. And so when you look at these children who are going through the programs, whether it's the ones who are going to Hollywood or the ones who are going to the MyLab programs, Super Soldier programs, doesn't matter, politicians, they all have these energy attachments because they're going to be broken typically sexually. And it's normally done before the child goes through puberty. Sorry, cat hair on my face. And what happens is they will end up typically having anal sex with them. Sorry for if that's too blunt again. 1224. And what it ends up doing is it actually ends up creating an energetic core between that person and the person that has the demonic entity attached. And then the entity starts coming in and feeding off that child's aura. And what it does is it actually starts with like negative thought process loops. And the being over time starts overshadowing the person. It starts to increase the amount of control and influence that it has upon the person. And normally it's done in baby steps. You won't find someone just going from a normal Joe Blow who goes to church, nice guy, takes care of his family, to the next day being a demonically possessed child molester. That's not how this works. Instead, when I talked earlier about people using things like crystal meth and that, it actually opens the aura up towards these level of possessions because it actually blows the aura apart. It's very different than doing things like mushrooms or marijuana or ayahuasca. Those can be portals too, but they're more sacred herbs. They tend to raise the vibration, whereas the heavily compounded chemical storm drugs actually lower the vibration, opening up for possession.
Okay, we got a couple more questions we'll burn through, and then I'll let you go for the night because I see your hair's starting to get a little frazzled, so that tells me you're getting tired. I know. Wesley, is it possible to have a mental encounter and not a physical encounter?
Yes, very much so. There's astral encounters, which happen when you go to bed at night, when you project out of your body. There's physical encounters where they come take you in your room. There's also psychic encounters where they have psychic communication with you.
All right. Mark in Australia is asking, Samantha, how have you prepared your kids for what they are going through and about to go through?
I've talked to them about contact since they're very, very little. I have made it so that is something that's always safe to talk about. One of my daughter's first 50 words was aliens, aliens. I'm pointing to the window. I'm like, how do you know there's aliens? And so it's always been a narrative that I've talked to them from that point onwards. Once I realized they're having contact, I normalize it so it's not something they feel ashamed about. They know it's something they can always talk to me about. I will let them know if I'm having contact, if we see beings together, or if I see them on Crouch, like, hey, I saw you last night. And it's made things a lot easier. Both my kids remember the fact they're going through even MyLab encounters, which is a little more stressful. So for me, communication is the best way to, if they're old enough to ask the question, they're old enough to have an age-appropriate answer. I don't tell them things that could be coming because I don't necessarily want to scare them or make them have anxiety dreams about that because I don't want to deal with that and I don't want to make them have that anxiety. But
all right. Third Phase of Moon is asking, have you ever heard the Kathy O'Brien story?
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one too. Dawn is asking, do you ever see aliens as a light?
Like as in a light being, I've seen beings that are comprised of light. So a light being would be one that has light emanating out of its body. And I would describe them as being multidimensional, not necessarily extraterrestrial. So beings that are able to transfer from one dimension to the other.
Em is asking, can we contact you for a session to just talk and ask you a million more questions?
If you want to do that, I recommend contacting me after the summer. I'm taking a mental health break because I've been writing my book and it's been triggering me with my PTSD a lot. So I would not be getting back to you until the end of summer at the earliest.
And I got a moth here that's bugging me. Seriously, go away.
Entertaining.
Yeah. Final question, Excalibur full. Is there a way to detach the energy attachment cord resulting from sex?
Yes, you can very consciously focus on the people that you've had sex with, and you can actually cut the cords between you and them. And what they'll end up doing is once you cut the cord, you actually have to release the cord out of your body and send healing energy to the place where you had the energetic cord in place. You can get this done through any energy practitioner as long as you feel like they have good vibes coming at them, good energy. You feel safe near them. You don't feel any sense of apprehension or distrust towards them. Getting an energy practitioner is one of your quickest and easiest ways to do that.
All right. Apparently, Kathy O'Brien claims to have been a victim of government mind control program called Project Monarch, which she alleges was part of the CIA's Project MK Ultra.
I can agree with that.
All right. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, my friend.
No worries. Night, Dave.
You hit a home run once again.
Give Mrs. SOR and baby SOR a hug for me.
I will. Well, he's not so much a baby anymore. He's the big 8 now.
Oh, good point. Oh, well.
All right. Take care, my friend.
Hey, buddy.
Bye-bye. Love her. Love her. Sammy Moe. Samantha Mowat. She's the best. Absolute best. You know, to this day, I cannot figure out how in the hell she is still one of the best kept secrets in ufology. She is so knowledgeable. She is so communicative on how to get things done, how to explain things. And yet here we are, you know, she's not in any documentaries. She's not in any, rarely attends a conference. It's stunning to me. It is just stunning to me that she is so, what's the word I'm looking for? That she isn't more popular than what she is now. And I think it's a travesty to the field of ufology when we have somebody like Samantha Mowat, who is that knowledgeable and not out there speaking and educating people. It's a travesty. And it isn't by the idea that we haven't been promoting her. Like every time I talk to somebody about a conference or something, and I'll be like, have you heard of Samantha Mowat? And 9 times out of 10, they'll say no. And then I have to tell them point blank, you're literally missing out on the best kept secret in ufology. She doesn't like that. I mean, she loves the term because of the respect, but she hates the term at the same time because it really does show that, you know, many aren't paying attention. You know, I know one person who is, who told me, who is connected, because I told this person about Samantha. And when he went and paid attention to what Samantha was talking about, he basically said that she is way too far ahead in her time for people to understand. Jenny, excuse me, Jenny, when will our Keith Andrews be back? He'll be back the first Friday of July. First Friday of July. So I believe that is, let me just check my calendar here. That is July 2nd. July 2nd, he'll be here. And yeah, great shows. Great friggin' shows. Tomorrow night on the show, we're doing almost the exact same thing, except we are using podcasters as our guests tomorrow night. Guys from UFO Garage, Ben and Joe will be here. Lori and Fenton will be joining us. Ryan Stacy from Tessa will be joining us. And we will be getting into the UFO podcasters side of what is going on. So it's going to be a very, very good show. Another solid show right in front of us. And I got to say a big thank you to my team of who is working really hard right now to get everything booked. Dirty Filth and Emily, along with Lynn, Michael, Katie, otherwise known as Spookles the Cat, Gary Spikes Jr., doing Captain Shirk in the news, doing a fantastic job with everything, making my life easy. Making my life very, very easy right now. And it's nice to chill out, relax. It really, really is. And yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. I know I don't seem exuberant right now because I'm tired, but it's pretty cool watching this come together. Really is. So it's impressive. Very impressive. So you guys are all caught up. I want to say a big thank you tonight to Fabster, to G West, to Lots, to Kamloops, to Long Island Bigfoot, Vinster, Horror Realm, Aussie Ange, Minister Elaine, Jeremy, Cable Guy Matt, Science Bob, and Chad for the amazing super chats tonight. We're going to do this all again tomorrow, and then we have another roundtable on Saturday, or pardon me, on Friday night. We got a lot. Oh yeah, we got the Desert Clam too who does the thought of the password every night. You screwed me up with this one, Desert Clam. But thank you to all the veterans out there who are listening to our show. We appreciate you. We love you. To everyone who's a regular in our chat rooms, thank you so much for being with us. You guys just make the night so much fun and so much better. And great questions as per usual. We'll see you all tomorrow night. Have a good one. And thanks for tuning on in. Take care.